of Los Angeles Board of Public Works meeting for Friday, December 10, 2021. Good morning, commissioners. Good morning, Bureau representatives and staff. Good morning, Mr. Jordan, and good morning, members of the public. Let's jump in. Dr. Campos, can you please establish quorum for us?
Absolutely. Good morning, everyone. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, establishing roll call and quorum for this morning. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioner Caloza. Mr. President, we do have a quorum at this time. Currently, we do not have any callers on the line under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary submitted under the Neighborhood Council comments section. We do have one caller on the line on item number 4, should your board have any questions. No public comments, however, if there's any questions, Mr. Randall Eggers is on the line for item number 4 again.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Campos. Is Metro here? Dr. Campos? Oh, you checked.
I apologize. I was on mute. Yes, the Metro team is on the line. I'm going to go ahead and add them slowly.
Okay. While you're doing that, because colleagues, I want to take item 19 first and get that presentation. So let's, while you're doing that, we'll take the minutes. I will motion to move the minutes from Friday, November 19th, 2021. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. Any concerns or objections, Caloza or Garcia? All right, thank you all. So let's move down to item number 19. Item number 19 is a transportation projects update from Metro and Department of Transportation. Can we see the Metro team? Mr. Yali.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. President, I'm still adding a couple of the members from the Metro team. They're still on the line. Mr. Anna, let's see. Johanna, if you can hear me, I am trying to send you the invitation. I keep getting a declination. That sometimes happens with Zoom. It's a technical issue we've been experiencing for many months. So just please bear with us. And if you're here from the LA Metro team, if you can please raise your hand by pressing *9 or click the raise hand icon. I can quickly identify you that way, and I can add you to the panel as quickly as possible. Thank you so much. LA Metro team, as you're receiving your invitation to join us as a panel, if you can just please turn on your video cam, we can go ahead and spotlight you as well. Everyone should have received their invitation. I'm still waiting for Johanna's computer to accept my invitation, and I know Samay, she is doing the sharing of the screen, so she's a critical component of your team, so I'm trying my best to add her.
Thanks, Fernando.
Dr. Campos, when we're getting everybody on, would it be difficult for us to go ahead and handle item 1? We'll come back to 19.
Absolutely no, not difficult at all.
It's a long agenda.
Not difficult at all.
All right, so we'll move to item 1, folks, and then Metro team will come back. So item number 1, revised task order solicitation number 34, John Friedman, Alice Kim Architects, Inc., Pio Pico Library, Pocket Park, and Underground Parking Structure Project, recommending the board authorize the city engineer to issue a revision of TOS number 34 to John Friedman, Alice Kim Architects, increasing the budget authority from $827,000 $1,680 to $1 million for architectural design services for the Pio Pico Library Pocket Park and Underground Parking Structure Project. Work order E1908188, C-124801. I see Mr. Fierce is with us this morning on this item. Good morning, Mr. Fierce.
Good morning.
Please proceed.
So on January 31st, 2018, the board authorized a budget authority of $827,680, which includes a contingency of $168,400 for JFK to provide design services for the Pio Pico Library Pocket Park and underground structure. The project involves the demolition of an existing parking lot, construction of an underground parking structure with a capacity of approximately 50 parking spaces, and the development of a pocket park on the parking deck. Additionally, the project also will modify existing street parking. Subsequently, the scope of work was increased to include improvements to the exterior building facade and entrance canopy, the children's playground and fitness equipment, as well as a perimeter fence. With the entities issued to date, a total of $313 of contingency remains. So it is recommended that the board approve the request with JFAK to increase the budget authority not to exceed an amount of $172,320, which is from $827,680 to $1 million. This will leave a design contingency of approximately $125,045 for the project. The project is currently at 95% construction document completion and will be bid in the fiscal year 2021-22. The anticipated construction cost is $15,660,000, and the current available funds are Community Redevelopment Agency, City of Los Angeles excess non-housing bond proceed funds, and Community Development Block grant funds, equity funds, and Capital Improvement Expenditure Program gap funds. The contract is subject to the VIP outreach requirements, and with this increase, the MBE originally was pledged at 11.9%, now will be at 10.21%, and WBE, which was originally pledged at 16.7%, will now be 13.42%. SBE, originally pledged at 16.7%, is now 30.56%. EBE, originally at 16.7%, is also at 30.56%. EVBE was pledged 0, they've remained 0%. And OBE went from 30.6% to 21.48%. Funding for this task order was authorized by the City Council and the Mayor from the CRA LA Excess Non-Housing Bond Proceeds. And with that concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Fierce. Appreciate that. Vice President Garcia, any questions or comments?
Thank you, President Good. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mr. Fierce. Thank you for your report. I actually do not have any questions on this item. I'm pretty aware of what we're doing here. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I did not hear the details of your last few sentences of your report. You were stating that the mayor's office and the council did what as it relates to your report?
Yes, I was just saying that the funding for this task order was authorized by City Council and the Mayor from the CRA LA Excess Non-Housing Bond Proceeds.
Okay, wonderful. Now, you did also say that in the funding that we have some CBDG funds, which makes it a federal project. Is that right?
It does receive some, yeah. Yes, it does.
Okay. And I knew that some time ago we used to have the legislature as a client in that building. Do we still have that to this date, or do you happen to not know?
Right. Well, I don't know. It's the Pio Pico library, and I'm not.
Yes.
I haven't heard. Yeah. I don't know.
Do you know if we have any external? Will there be any external office space in the building? Before we did in its existing structure, and I'm not so sure is as we develop the new building, will it also have the same kind of architectural structure that the other one had?
Well, our scope of work is only for the exterior improvements.
I see.
Yeah, we aren't doing any work on the interior of the building.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Colosa.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Fears. I don't have any questions on this item, just think that it's a beautiful design, and I love all the enhancements that are being made to the Pio Pico Library. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Fierce, thank you for your briefing and report. Crystal clear. This is going to be a great project. The overall, the pocket park, the whole thing is going to be really neat in a very park hungry neighborhood and community. So it's exciting. So thank you, Mr. Fierce. I'll take a motion to move the item forward.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. I'll take a second from President Pro Tem Davis. Dr. Campos, can you please call roll?
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and take the vote now. At this time, President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Davis. I'm sorry, Vice President Garcia. My apologies, Commissioner Garcia.
David,
Vice
it's
President.
okay.
Vice President Garcia.
Yes, I.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye. Thank you.
And Commissioner Colosa.
Aye.
This motion is carries unanimous and is adopted. Mr. President, would you like to consider this seal forthwith?
Yes, please.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Fierce. Have a great weekend, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have the full Metro team ready?
Yes, we do. Let me go ahead and start sharing screen. Johanna, you should be co-host and you should be able to share your screen at this time. If you are part of the LA Metro team, if you can please open up your video cams, I will go ahead and add you to the spotlight.
Good morning, it's Johanna Jonathan. I'm still unable to share the screen.
While we're working that out, I felt to be crystal clear. General public comment is closed. Just to put that on the record. And it's good to see all the Metro folks.
I am working remotely, and it's VPNing to my work webcam.
Okay, Johanna, we can see your video cam. It's on. We see your office.
Correct. But as I press the share screen button in the bottom, it is indicating that I cannot modify the advanced sharing option. The only way to share is to be a host.
Okay, I can't make you host at this time because we are in the middle of a session.
Can you make her a co-host, Doctor?
She is a co-host at this time. However, it's according to Johanna, she's getting a message that she's unable to show her video or share the screen. Sorry, because she's not a host.
Oh, I see.
This is the first I'm hearing of that.
Can she send it to you and Dr. Campos?
That's what I'm going to probably have to do. Yes. So maybe perhaps take item 2 and then we'll come back.
Let's do it.
Sorry, Samay.
No, that's okay. No problem.
Okay. Let's take item number 2. Item number 2 is budget increase and change orders. Murray Plumbing and Heating Corporation, DBA Murray Company, Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, Headworks Odor Control Upgrade, CIP 2344, and HWRP Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant, Headworks Improvements, CIP 2409. Recommending the board, 1, authorize $1,500,000 in additional contingency and approve a revised construction budget of $28,674,000 for the contract. 2, authorize the city engineer to issue emergency change order number 48 to rehabilitate damaged temporary carbon scrubbers at the HWRP. 3, authorize the city engineer to issue change order number 50 to provide carbon change out during startup phase for a not to exceed amount of $155,000. And 4, authorize the city engineer to issue change order number 51 for extended overhead costs for a not to exceed amount of $200,000. This is work order SZH 11748, SZH 11746, and C-125471. I see Mr. Kopp and Ms. Simons on with us. I believe y'all are handling this item. Please proceed.
Good morning, President and everybody. David Kopp, representing the Environmental Engineering Division for this agenda item. This staff report is essentially a follow-up and recap to the emergency authorizations you listed, Mr. President. And we're coming here to describe those and follow up to that emergency authorizations that were provided a few months ago, earlier this year. But first, with a little bit of background, this contract was awarded in April 2017. It's a long-term contract, which includes modernization and upgrades to the odor control capabilities at Hyperion Water Reclamation Plant's Headworks facility. And this component of the contract has 3 primary phases. The first of which we're about to wrap up over the course of the next 6 to 8 weeks is to construct a new primary odor control system. We're currently commissioning that started earlier this week, and we're underway. We should be able to start this up within the next couple of months or sooner. Once that is up and fully functioning, we will demolish the existing odor control facility that's been operating at Headworks for some years now. And once that room is made available, we'll construct the secondary component of the new odor control system, which consists of a polishing system that basically takes care of the odors otherwise not able to be removed by the primary system. And this will in turn continue Hyperion's aggressive approach to maintaining the utmost odor control capabilities possible at the plant. And so in building out these 3 phases, we require the use of a temporary carbon scrubber in order to do this that was on site for the last 6 months or so. And leading up to the wastewater release event at Hyperion that occurred, about mid-July earlier this year, it damaged some of the nearby equipment because this project is very adjacent to ground zero of when that wastewater release event occurred. And so the 4 authority requests are in relation to that. And so we identified early on, following the spill, the damage that was experienced by the project. The biggest thing of which that was most critical to the schedule and getting back on track was the damaged temporary odor control unit that was already installed and piped in, ready to go. To replace these requires a lengthy time frame, and that's aside from all of the supply chain issues that we all hear on the news on a regular basis. So we identified that early on and engaged your board on an emergency basis to authorize funding so that we could procure a replacement scrubber, because we identified as construction managers on our construction schedule that this would be what we call a critical path activity that would drive all of the successive activities on the project. And in addition to that, we had some other ancillary equipment that was damaged, had to be assessed, some of which had to be sent back to the shop to be rehabilitated and brought back to the site. And so the first authority request that I mentioned took care of replacing the temporary unit. And I'm happy to report that was brought on site forthwith, and we were able to get back on track relatively soon, and we're able to use that over the course of startup of the new facility to make sure that along with a lot of water reclamation projects that are trying to build out within an existing operating facility, that we maintain a high level of odor control as we're building the new stuff and getting rid of the old stuff, so to speak. And so that took care of the first component of the authority request. The other one was, over the course of this timeline and in relation to the plant's aggressive approach in maintaining a high level of odor control, is while we're starting up these new systems, they can't treat 100% of the foul air. A lot of that has to do with the primary odor control facility being of a biological nature. And as such, it requires some time for that biology to grow within the system. The city has a number of these projects, are very experienced in bringing these up. In my experience, I imagine it'll take 1 to 2 months. During that course, as we're increasing the foul air going into the new facility, the balance of that air must go through a temporary unit. There's this point of no return when we start opening the valve and bringing in this foul air. And so over the course of that, we did some further assessment over the 6 to 9 month timeline through these 3 phases that are remaining to be complete, if we will have to change out the carbon that's within this temporary unit. And we determined that it would be in best interest to have that option available to us in case it's needed to maintain that high degree of odor control from Headworks until we finish this project that's anticipated to complete sometime early summer of 2022. And third, as a result of this procurement, replacing equipment, assessing equipment, leading up to startup, it has extended the project schedule unavoidably, but it's important to mention that these authority requests that your board authorized allowed us to minimize those schedule impacts. But the unavoidable impacts therein have a cost component to them, right? So the contractor remains on site, they're resourced for that additional amount of time that equates to what we call extended overhead. And so we've assessed that amount to be on the order of a not to exceed $200,000 as listed in the board report in the agenda. And then fourth, as a result of these 3 incremental cost increases that your board has granted emergency authority to move forward with, we as a result have to extend appropriately the amount of budget authorized by your board for this project. And so that covers the 4th authority request to request an additional $1.5 million to complete this project. And as I indicated with status, we're well underway with startup, which is great news. We intend to be full biological startup, which will remove about 98 to 99% of all criteria odors from the Headworks facility. And then over the course of the next 6 to 9 months, do the ultimate build out of the polishing system. And we expect to complete that by June, July of next year. And that concludes the end of my staff report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cobb. President Pro Tem Davis, any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Kopp, I understand that according to the plan that you have put before us that's inherent in this motion, we will be able to provide adequate funding for you to be able to implement a temporary system to better manage the odor until such time we're able to achieve our full goal, which is by 2022 to put together a full system that will be, I guess, self-contained with managing the whole odor situation most effectively. Is pretty much that accurate, or?
Correct. And to further clarify and build importance to this temporary system, with these industrial type construction projects, if you compare it to, say, a refinery where you're in construction, you can just shut down a unit and do all the work.
Sure.
At Hyperion, we have to keep everything fully functional.
Sure.
As we can't turn off the sewers. And so this temporary unit will allow us to switch over from the old system to the new system, so to speak, while maintaining a backstop for odor control and continuous odor control as we wind down the old facility and bring up the new one.
Mm-hmm. We certainly aren't the only people in this technological challenge in terms of how to effectively manage odor. Obviously, other cities throughout America have the same challenge we do. As we look at technology, certainly I've had a concern about our choices of technology and the available options that we have to choose from. And if we are, as a result, choosing the best technology that we think we should have. So my question to you is, of the available technologies that you have explored, do you feel comfortable that this is the very best technology that the country's second largest city should have as it relates to effectively managing odor?
Absolutely. The city of Los Angeles is the first city in the country to implement a biotrickling filter for its wastewater collection system. This was done about 12 years ago, We commissioned the first 2 for the North Central Outfall System, and the East Central Interceptor Sewer. Mm-hmm. And over the course of the following years, the treatment plants followed suit. So the first of these biotrickling filters to be installed was at the Donald C. Tillman Water Reclamation Plant a couple years ago. And these biotrickling filters have won awards, and we've presented at various technology forums and have been recognized for their sustainability by the Institute for Sustainable Infrastructure, ISI. And and I'm very passionate about these, if you can't tell. But
Sure. No, that's great.
These systems.
I'm learning from you, so.
Okay.
Yes.
I know you have a long agenda today, so
Yeah.
I'll try to move
Yes.
short.
Yes.
But these biological systems eliminate the need for LA Sanitation to purchase and haul in and out all of these caustic chemicals that have been used in conventional means. So this is actually one of 2 biotrickling filter facilities that are being started up as I speak. And so it eliminates the need for these potentially hazardous chemicals in and outside of the plant on our streets, right? And that reduces the operating cost. These bugs like these foul airs as opposed to the public, right? And so we're able to, over the course of the last 10 years of operating these, they're very resilient. Even in shutdowns, the bugs that we call them, they stay active. They're very resilient. They rarely foul in the system and create issues for LA Sanitation to have to triage or manage on an emergency basis. But as I indicated in the staff report, they remove about 98% of the hydrogen sulfide, which is really the criteria chemical that we gauge in terms of how smelly something is. That remaining percentage is handled by the carbon polishers. And as other members of the Bureau of Engineering have provided in staff reports, we do have these carbon systems throughout the city. So depending on how much air you're treating, you may pick a carbon system, a pure carbon system, as opposed to a biotrickling filter system. These BTFs tend to be the most effective when you're on the order of 20,000 plus CFM at the treatment plants. And so respectively, roughly, this facility that this staff reports about is roughly 66,000 standard cubic feet a minute, and the other facility is about 40,000 associated with the intermediate pumping station. So in short, in my experience, there is not a better application of this technology for treating foul airs. But at the end of the day, you will likely always have this conventional carbon polishing stage as a protective and backstop measure in case the primary mover is down for maintenance or other reasons.
So it's safe to say that in your professional opinion, you believe that of the available options that we have explored to effectively manage odors, that we have chosen the best one out there, in your opinion.
Absolutely.
And I say that because the expectation of our boss, who is the public, is that we will be able to effectively manage odor because of its negative impact on their neighborhoods. And then when we look at other cities like ourselves, whether we're talking about Houston, Texas, or whether we're talking about Phoenix, Arizona, or any other large metropolitan city, that the issue of effectively managing their odors tend to be, from what we can tell, something that has been successfully achieved. So we expect the same thing when I say we, our customers, our boss. The citizens of Los Angeles expect the same for us. And so it's important for me to know that you feel professionally that we have chosen the best technology that we have seen to do this.
Yes, Commissioner, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Closer?
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your very detailed presentation, Mr. Kopp. We knew that odor control systems could sound so riveting, and it's important that we hear all the details because it's become a really important topic, especially in the last few months as some of our neighboring cities have had some odor control issues. And this is the reason why ours is more controlled because of upgrades like this and the advanced planning that BOE and LA Sanitation are doing to our treatment plants at Hyperion. So I don't have any questions, but great work on your part. And this is the kind of work that really impacts people's quality of life. And so thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Commissioner Coloso. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you. Mr. Cobb, I haven't seen you in a while. Good to see you again. Just wanted to, I don't have much more to add. I think, my colleagues really did ask me great questions, and just about your passion, we know that we have the right person in the right spot. So with that said, I don't have any other questions. I'll move this item over and making sure that our communities and our neighborhoods continue to enjoy the fresh air that they continue to do so right now.
Thank you. Maybe I should mention, I used to live behind Hyperion. I lived there for 35 years. So at a personal level, I have friends in town.
Yeah.
So it's not only is it important for the plant, but I understand the concerns of the citizens and stand behind these projects, and we're looking forward to improving the odor control at Hyperion. We continue to do so. Thanks.
And yet again, you are the perfect person for this position.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. I also want to thank Commissioner Coloso for being on the ready in terms of the emergency authorizations. We've had to have a few of them recently relative to this work and relative to the July 11th incident. And so I want to thank you, Commissioner Coloso, for being sort of on the ready on those items. And I don't really have any questions either. This is obviously critical, and I encourage and expect and appreciate Sanitation's efforts to really continue to push the envelope in terms of technology on the odor control. Biotrickling sounds like good stuff. And we love those microbes that eat everything, so including sulfur. That's great. Thank you, Mr. Kopp. Thank you, Ms. Simons. I think Vice President Garcia was ready to motion to move the item forward. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Dr. Campos, would you like to take a roll call, please?
Absolutely. This is to adopt item number 2. We'll go ahead and take the vote at this time. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
And Commissioner Coloso.
Aye.
This item is adopted and is approved unanimously.
Let's take it forthwith. We will take it forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you, President.
Thank you, Mr. Kopp. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Simons. Y'all have great weekends. Go get the bugs. All right. I guess they've already been gotten. All right. So let's now move to item 19. Are we ready now?
We will give it a try, Mr. President.
Let's take our shot.
All right. This is for item number 19. Let me go ahead and add May to the spotlight. And Mr. President, since I'm going to share my screen, I will have limited functionality to go back and forth between toggling. So I will try my best here to get where I need to get to. So give me 1 second.
Okay. There we go.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so somehow the sharing screen features were modified by ITA, so I'm going to reach out to them to see why our sharing screen settings were changed. So I'm going to go ahead and blow up my screen so that everyone can see it a little bit better, and hopefully this does not change things around for anybody.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you, Dr. Campos.
Perfect. Just let me know when you want me to change slides, and I will do that for you.
Sure. Good morning, President Good. Good morning, Commissioners. We'll go through the 5-maker project that Metro is completing. And as usual, we'll start with Crenshaw. And Stephanie Leslie, she's the Deputy Executive Officer, will provide the presentation for Crenshaw. And I'm here to answer any of your questions after. Stephanie?
Good morning. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
All right. Let's go to the next slide, please. So So where we stand today, a lot of the pictures you probably have seen before, and that's because Wilshire is getting near the end of this project. So again, a lot of the pictures are repeated, but now they're looking much shinier, much newer. They are in the process of going back and working on punch list items and cleaning the project in preparation for turning it over to us at the beginning or sometime early next year. So here we are at the Expo Crenshaw station, and we're looking at the glass surround in the upper photos surrounding the escalators and the stairway taking us down to the concourse level. So we have in our glass art, which I do not believe was completed the last time we presented to you. In the bottom right photo, it's hard to take pictures of testing, but this is one test that is very visual. This was a smoke test, and it's to test the emergency ventilation fans to see how quickly, how well our fan system, our ventilation system is able to clear out smoke in the event of a fire. Next slide, please. Moving on to the Martin Luther King Jr. station, upper right, this is our glass enclosure, glass surround at the stairs, escalators at the plaza level. And I believe that is also new since the last time reported to you. Again, Wilshire is doing final items. Top left, they're installing signage along the alignment at various locations. Bottom right, our construction relations and marketing group, they've been going out periodically and taking aerial shots and drone shots along the alignment, and this is one above the MLK station. Next slide, please. Continuing south, this is the Limerick Park Vernon station, and this was a test of the deluge system. So this is a water system. We have one above the track, another system below the track to assist in putting out a fire in case the train comes into the station and there is a fire on board. Next slide, please. On the right-hand side, this is an aerial shot over the Slauson station with Crenshaw Boulevard in the background also. Upper left, just a reminder, I believe we reported last time that the left turn enforcement cameras, they are up and operating. We are still in the warning period. We've extended that period, but as of the beginning of January, anyone going through the intersection against a red light, they will start ticketing the beginning of January 2022. Next slide. Continuing to Fairview Heights station. This is at West Boulevard, just off of Florence. And again, I don't believe anything is new, but it is shiny and clean. Next slide. Continuing south, another shot of our Inglewood station, downtown Inglewood at La Brea. Next slide, please. And at West Chester Veteran Station, this is at Hendry and Florence. Next slide. And our final station at Century Aviation. The shot on the upper right, this is our plaza area, so just the fare gates and the ticket vending machines are in this shot. Upper left, in the upper portion of this photo, you're seeing the platform level in the background with our golden arc fence along the edges of that bridge. And below, these are both shots in the plaza area of the station. Next slide, please. So that's it for our progress photos in terms of additional closures, street closures. We're not anticipating any more full street closures on the project. Next slide. And our outreach efforts are continuing. There's not a lot of activity going on, but we are still performing outreach as necessary, and we are continuing with our community meetings every other month, and those are still being performed virtually. Next slide. Okay, I'm going to hand off to Sydney.
Thank you, Stephanie, and good morning, everyone. My name is Sydney Yermanchev, and I'm going to give a brief presentation on our Business Solution Center and Business Interruption Fund. As you know, the BSC provides business resources to the small business community along the Crenshaw LAX Transit project, including hands-on business development and technical assistance. The total number of businesses that the BSC has contacted is 479, and the total number of businesses that the BSC has served is 341. Some recent activities for the BSC include final program event planning, as well as outreach as we near the completion of construction. Next slide, please. And then for the Business Interruption Fund, I have a brief update. Since the advent of COVID-19, Metro's BIF has remained active throughout construction and throughout the pandemic, and has awarded grants for construction impact that has occurred prior to the pandemic. As of June 2021, so June of this year, the BIF is accepting applications for transit rail construction impact that has been sustained during COVID-19, or essentially since March 2020 forward. Small mom and pop businesses that have experienced this construction impact may be eligible and will have to meet all BIF program eligibility requirements. Next slide, please. Just for a high-level update on the award amounts for the Crenshaw LAX Transit project, the total grants awarded to small businesses along this project is 802, with a grant value of just over 20 million in grant awards. And the total number of businesses that have received a grant along the Crenshaw LAX Transit project is 235, and that's 3 additional small businesses receiving their first ever grant since the last reporting period, which was, I believe, early October. Thank you. I believe that was my last slide.
Thank you. President Good, do you prefer that we answer question now or wait until we finish all the projects?
You know, I think what we'll do is I'd ask my colleagues to take notes on the questions, and let's hold our questions till the end. We have a very long agenda, and this is a very long presentation. I say with no derision, Mr. Gilly, we want this presentation. So let's everybody take notes, and we'll do all the questions after the full presentation. Okay?
Thank you. The next project is Regional Connector. Matt Antonelli.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Regional Connector, as we have reported in the past, it's 3 stations. We're about 87% complete. We're still targeting fall of 2022 for our opening, and we're working hard to get there. Go ahead, next slide. So just going over some progress photos of the areas. We're starting over here at the Little Tokyo Arts District Station, which was the first central station. As you can see, we're into the station finishes now, backfilling up top. We're installing our canopies and elevators and escalators, and working hard to get this station functional. Street level work is ongoing, or street restoration is in planning right now. And the work up top is progressing quite well. For the next slide. The main focus right now is finishing our track. We're on schedule right now to finish our track work next week, and that's a big milestone for the project. After next week, we'll have rail tied into the existing goal line in both directions, and also the 7th Metro station. So been a big focus, and hopefully we get everything done by next Wednesday and be able to continue moving on to the next phase of the work. We do have a bus bridge this weekend at the 7th and Metro station. As I reported in the past, we've had a number of those. This is number 10 that we've had. They've all been successful to date, and hopefully this weekend goes well, and we'll be able to finish all of our testing that's needed, and we'll have potentially 2 more in January, February timeframe to do our final cutovers and tie in our new system permanently to the existing metro system at the Simpson Metro Station. So after that, we'd have no further bus bridge needs or impacts to the Flower Street and surrounding area there. Next slide, please. Going on to the 2nd and Broadway, you see there's still a lot of surface work. This station was always planned to be a little further behind as far as the entrance structure. So this is somewhat on schedule. Down below, if we had a picture, that the platform level is progressing similar to the other stations. And the work is mainly into our work area here. We don't have a lot of surface street work going on right now. It's mainly in our entrance structure itself. Go ahead, next slide, please. Moving on to the Grand Avenue Bunker Hill Station. This station is probably our furthest along right now, both inside the station and outside. You can see up top we actually have curb and gutter, sidewalks on the picture on the right, and actually the base course of pavement. So that's, if you're able to walk that right now, you'd actually see how the streets are all laid out, and it actually looks like a station now. So that's very, very good. Down below, we are into the finishes. We actually have artwork starting to get planned and installed here in the next week or so, and doing all the finishing touches in and around the platform to get our testing started with Metro. Go ahead, next slide, please. Flower Street, I think this is one thing I just want to highlight. You know, we had that settlement area on Flower Street that we worked really hard with the city on to repair an existing condition. I'm happy to report that the roadway was excavated out and backfilled to meet the city standards. We were able to fix all that settlement areas on Flower Street and restore the curb and gutter line. And we did it within the weekends that we had allotted in the previously approved closure. So we are done with our major work on Flower Street. Up top, we'll have to come back and do our final pavement. We have some curb and gutter work, ADA ramps, things like that, but all the major impacting work is completed, and we were able to utilize all the closures that you all approved. So thank you there. Go ahead to the next slide, please. Looking at upcoming street closures, we still have our First Street westbound closure in place. It is going into the April, I believe April 4th is our end date there. I'm highlighting 2nd Street right now because we are looking at some AT&T work. The AT&T conditions out there along 2nd Street have always been a problem for us. We had issues when we were decking the street. We had issues when we were undecking it, and we worked through with AT&T to put a new design in. This requires a number of new vaults, so new lines, new conduit runs, and we were able to work out with DOT to modify our existing closure, so we don't need anything major on the Spring Street side, but on the Broadway side, we are working with them right now. It may need to have a short-term, maybe a week or two closure of 2nd Street at Broadway, between Broadway and Hill. So I'm flagging it right now as this may be coming in the future. We're not asking for anything right now. We're still working with the city, working with AT&T and our contractor to find what's the best fit, the best scenario to do this work for the least amount of impacts. But there's a possibility that may be coming in the next month or so. But other than that, it's just from that point on, it would be mainly street restoration. There's possibly a First Street eastbound for a time period for some utility work as well, but we're still in the planning stages and identifying that right now. Go ahead, Nick, please. The community outreach team is still doing an amazing job. Olga and her team are out there meeting with the community regularly, working through all of our issues and constraints. Do not have any major things to report on that, other than they continue to do very well and keep the community happy. I think at this point, in all reality, that they want us to get done as fast as we can, right? So we're working hard to get in and get out of that area. Next slide, please. And I'll turn it over, Sydney, if you want to report on the BIF.
Yes, thank you, Matt. And I'll just report on the numbers for the Little Tokyo area of the regional connector. As of earlier this month, December 2nd, total number of BIF grants awarded has been 101, to totaling a grant value of just over $2 million, and 33 independent small businesses have received those BIF grants. Thank you.
I believe that would be it for regional. So I'll stand by for questions.
Thanks, Matt. So we'll start the purple line 1-3 section. The purple line is actually 3 projects. So we'll start with purple line 1. James Cohen, the project manager for section 1. Jim?
Good morning, Mr. President, board members. Next slide, please. This is a slide that just shows the limits of section 1. We are at 74% complete. That's the only change since last time you saw this slide. Next slide, please. Can you go back one? Because it should be La Brea, I think, before Fairfax. Okay, here we go. La Brea Station, pretty much the same work going on since last time we spoke. We're working on the west side of the station and the entrance structure. Electrical, mechanical, and plumbing is going in, and we're working on our appendages. The photograph on the upper right is the fan room, and those are forms for the supports for the motors and the fans. That's for the emergency ventilation. The photograph on the lower right is some of the interior walls at the track level. We're trying to play a little catch up on that because we couldn't work in this area while the TBM was tunneling. But now that the TBMs are, the tunneling is complete and the TBMs are gone, we're able to come back and finish some of these interior and exterior walls at the extreme eastern, the western part of the station. And the lower left photograph is one of our appendages. This is right along Wilshire Boulevard. We'll be under the sidewalk. You can see that we've worked our way up. You see the rebar. We'll be placing the forms in there and casting that, and we'll be up to the street level with the grading to go eventually on that to reestablish the sidewalk. Next, please. At Fairfax, again, not too many changes. Structural work on the east and west of the hammerheads are going on. Again, now that the tunneling is done, we're working on various appendages, and we're working on some plenum work. The photograph on the upper right is the concourse level on the extreme east end of Fairfax Station. Again, playing catch up, getting the concourse in now that the tunneling is done. You can see the rebar in. We should be placing that next week. On the lower right, we started excavation for the station entrance. That's the Peterson Museum in the background. And so this will be going down various levels of excavation. The big steel tubes you see there are part of the supportive excavation to hold that excavation up and clear while we're excavating. And the photograph on the lower left, that's the west hammerhead. It's the two openings for the tunnel are covered behind those forms. But again, a lot of work going on at all 3 stations at these east and west ends to complete that work. So that's the extreme west end of the station at the platform level, and we'll be building up from that. Next. As far as our street closures, we have currently underway is our street closure of Sycamore south of Wilshire, and that will be continuing. And as soon as that is finished and opened, we'll be requesting a closure of Orange, again, south of Wilshire Boulevard. And these closures, again, are needed to support the appendages, whether they be air shafts or emergency exits. But the work at Sycamore is going on schedule. We expect to hold to the closure dates that were previously provided by you folks. Next. I'll turn this over to our BIF folks.
Thank you. And for Purple Line Extension, Section 1, we've awarded just over 250 grants, 255 grants for PLE 1 with a grant value of over $6.4 million with a business count of individual small businesses of 90, and that's increased by two individual businesses have received their first BIF grant since the last reporting period earlier in October. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. So we move to section 2, and Zeph Farley is the Deputy Project Manager, will provide the presentation. Zeph?
Good morning, Commissioners. Section 2 is about 48% complete. 2 stations and 2.5 miles. One of the 2 stations is actually in the neighboring city of Beverly Hills. But obviously the Century City Constellation Station is one in the city of Los Angeles. Early next year, we're rapidly approaching the 50% complete mark. And you'll see on the following slide specifically why. So move on to the next slide, please. Just as an overview, this is a Constellation Century City Station. Thank you. For those that remember the long-time closure that was on Constellation, we don't have any further full closures, but you'll note that in the yellow in the middle of the page, that's actually the station entrance. Work has begun with excavation on that, but I'll explain that with a few photos later. Next slide, please. So our project at this point is principally a tunneling project. We've got the 2 machines, Harriet and Ruth, that are working their way through Beverly Hills. Even compared to this graphic, which shows the 2 machines approaching Rodeo Drive, the machines have actually made excellent progress this week. We expect the BL machine Ruth to get to the Wilshire Rodeo station sometime late next week. And a week later, the BR machine is expected to get to just outside the Wilshire Rodeo station, which means one of our 2 tunnel reaches will be completely mined by Christmas, by the end of this year, early New Year. Significantly, the production as compared to the last time it was reported has increased to 40 to 45 feet a day for each of the 2 machines. They've been making excellent progress. It certainly helps that we're going right down Wilshire Boulevard in a relatively straight tangent section. There are no turns until we get halfway through Reach 4 sometime in the middle of next year. The machines have also gone through the last of our 2 fault zones, so they're in the process of putting in routine concrete segmental tunnel lining sections. So if you're staying at the Wilshire Beverly, the machines are right outside your front door at this point. But move on to the next slide, please. So at the Constellation Station, excavation is underway. The station itself is about 25% excavated. And you can see on the top left-hand side, the station excavation includes supporting of various utilities beneath the deck. Specifically at the intersection of Avenue of the Stars, there are quite a number of utilities that go in multiple directions, but the picture here is highlighting the fact that there's a sanitary sewer that needs to be temporarily bypassed. The plastic pipes on the left are the temporary bypass pipes that will be used while the sewer is taken out of service here early in the new year, then will be replaced underneath the deck and suspended during excavation for the remainder of station excavation. The picture on the bottom left shows excavation through an opening for the station entrance, and the picture on the right shows the equipment being used to bring the material to the station entrance opening for excavation and off-hauling. The station entrance is about 12% complete, and the station entrance and station box itself will be excavated simultaneously. And again, you can see some utilities that are hung from the temporary decking as they're doing the excavation. If you want to move on to the next slide, please. So this is our list of various traffic closures that are expected in the next period. We don't have any full closures expected or planned. There are still lane closures that will be needed, specifically in Avenue of the Stars for storm drain and sanitary sewer relocation work. But there are no full closures that are expected or planned. One of the things I can report, since the last time there was the 2021 LA Marathon that finished right at Avenue of the Stars, just north of our work zone. By all reports, the coordination with the marathon committee went really well. There are no issues, and we understand that we will have to coordinate again with the marathon folks for the 2022 coming up here in March. But we don't expect to have any closures that would impact the ability for the city and the marathon to run its program here coming up in March. And with that, we'll move on to the next slide. I believe that's it for construction. Turn it over to the Business Interruption Fund.
Thank you, Zeph. And specifically for Purple Line Extension Section 2, there have been 107 grants awarded, totaling a grant value of just over $3 million, and with the individual business count of 50. And that's an increase of one individual business has received their first BIF grant since the last reporting period earlier in October. Thank you.
Thank you, Zeph. We move to section 3. Kimberly Ong.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing the presentation. So good morning, President Good and Commissioners. So the Purple Line Section 3, this is the third of the 3 extensions, 2.5 miles with 2 stations, one at Westwood UCLA and the other one station at the Westwood VA Hospital. The project overall is approximately 31% complete, and the final design is at 91% complete. Next slide, please. So the Purple Line Section 3, we have 2 separate contracts, one for the tunneling, and then the second one for the stations and outfitting systems and testing. So for our tunneling contract, we have 2 tunnel boring machines, and both of our tunnel boring machines are now in full production. The BR or the Iris TBM has mined about half a mile, 2,600 feet, and this is now outside of the VA property for that starter tunnel that was on the VA property. But now the Iris is now mined underneath the 405 and crosses Sepulveda Boulevard, which had some very large utilities, including the MWD 96 water line. So very good mining, little settlement, and some very good tunneling with our contractor. And our other tunnel boring machine, ARA, that machine is just out of the gate. The contractor, right now for the production, they haven't hit their stride on either one of the TBMs. But right now for the average production, it's about 20 feet per day for ARA and about 30 feet per day that we have for Iris. On the next slide, please. The next 2 slides are the progress we have with our stations contractor. And by and large, I mean, it's still early on in the construction phase. So the contractor, they're continuing with utility relocations and the support of excavation piling. At the Westwood UCLA station, again, continuing with both of those work activities. The piling for the support of excavation is approximately 50% complete, and the contractor will be continuing with that work into the spring. And for the other station on the next slide, at the Westwood VA station, the contractor previously already completed the piling for the main station box. So at this point, the contractor is preparing for upcoming work, which includes fabricating the deck beams, which they'll install later in 2022, delivery of materials, and also preparing for the VA steam line relocation. And on the next slide, please. This is just an overview for the upcoming work at the UCLA station. I know it's really hard to read, but that second line is with the piling and the red vertical line. That's where we are right now. So again, our contractor, utility relocation, and the support of excavation piling. And then in the coming springtime, that's when they're currently scheduling of starting the decking in that area. So in the March-April timeframe. And then after they have sufficient decking in place, then to start the excavation that you've seen with the other metro projects, and that activity being a late spring, early summer activity. So with that, the last slide, I believe, is with the Business Improvement Fund, and I'll turn that over to my colleague.
Thank you, Kimberly. And for Purple Line Extension, Section 3, BIF grants have not yet been awarded, but we are in close coordination with construction relations to be aware of the small businesses that will face impact. And for the BIF totals for all projects as of December 2nd, for all projects that the BIF is applicable for, the total number of grants awarded is 1,301 for a grant value of just over $32.6 million in BIF grant awards. And that is for a total of individual small businesses, 431 individual small businesses. And that concludes my part on the Business Interruption Fund. Thank you to board staff, Mr. President, and commissioners.
Thank you, Kim. President Good, that will conclude the update in Metro 5 mega project.
Thank you, Mr. Galen. Where is that sign?
Not sure. Great. You know where the sign is?
Thank you all. I'd like to find it. Thanks, Metro team, for the series of presentations. Really appreciate it. Very excited to see that the Vice President Garcia boring machine is moving its way eastward on Wilshire. And I will open this up for questions. Why don't we start with Commissioner Closa?
Hey, President Good. Thank you to the Metro team for your thorough presentation. You can remove your share screen now if that's easier. There you go. So I can see all your faces. Just a quick question too. I think I see some new faces here from the Metro team. Did you all have a change in staff, or there's just different representatives here?
No, but Purple, Section 2 for Purple, the project manager is not available today, so the deputy project manager attend. So basically, either we have the project manager or the deputy, but the same
Okay.
management.
Are you new, Mr. Designee?
I'm not new. Jessica is out of office. She usually does the presentation, and she'll be back for the next Board of Public Works presentation.
Got it. Nice to see you. I was just curious because I saw a few new faces. One of the questions that I had was for the BIF program for the regional connector. So I didn't see any change, but just wanted to confirm that there were no changes in additional awards to the Business Interruption Fund for the regional connector. Is that correct?
That is correct. Since early October, the last time we presented, there haven't been BIF grants awarded. I should note that there are 2 BIF grants being processed currently. So for the next Board of Public Works presentation, there will be an increase. And we are in close coordination with the construction relations team, specifically for the work occurring on First Street as well right now.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was the only one I noticed. There was no change, and the reason why I asked was because we approved additional street closures that had to be extended, which I would assume would have some impact to the businesses around the Little Tokyo area. So did the community apply, do you know? And they just, they couldn't prove that they're impacted, or could you just explain a little bit about the most recent round?
Yeah, for the construction impact, small businesses have to meet specifically the construction impact as well as all program eligibility requirements, and our BIF program administrator, PCR, is very familiar with not only working directly with construction relations to see where that impact specifically is, but they've worked with the businesses over time, so they've established relationships at this point. So they may receive grants for the work that has occurred. They're just in the process of awarding those grants.
Okay. Did we reject any? Just curious.
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. I was just curious because of the additional impact that I know was unforeseen. in the regional connector that, like I mentioned, we approved recently. That was one of my, it was my only question. I thought the presentation was thorough. I appreciated the photos, spotless photos from Stephanie's team of your part of the project. And I know that you guys continue to do some great work. And what else was I going to say? Very disappointed that 4 of us don't have our own tunnel boring machine. Just wanted to note that for the record. Look forward to your next update where there'll be some, we will get our tunnel boring machine interruption, you know, we'll get something named after us. But great work, and thanks for your presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner Colosa. Yeah, and Metro team, it's GREG for the record. So, Commissioner Villegas.
Good morning. Thank you for today's presentation. Glad I was able to join in on the majority of the presentation. Just a quick comment, 2 things actually. I appreciate Metro's emails to us, you know, just on updates, periodic updates, you know, before we get these reports. Thanks for including us in your listserv. Do take a look at those as well. And then just on the regional connector, thank you, Matt, for letting us know that you're just working through the details with AT&T and 2nd Street, possibly a new design. And then just, you know, giving us that forewarning that we may have additional street closures. I know that's just such a busy intersection. So just appreciate the heads up. I don't have any questions. That was all. And good progress just on the other projects. These are monumental. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes, my comments are overall, generally, I think that we are making great progress in the overall project in terms of what you're doing citywide based upon those presentations that you've made. And having worked specifically in the South Los Angeles area, I'll just focus some of the inquiry there. But first, let me make the compliment that I really appreciate the implementation of the business fund. It has been very valuable to struggling small and emerging businesses who were thinking of creative ways to increase business anyway. But since you have come along and you have provided the assistance, it has been a very valuable service and it's been a much appreciated one. And I'm sure perhaps that is true of businesses throughout the city. That's number one. Number two, I see the great progress that we have made towards completing the Crenshaw line. I see the tests that you're doing that suggest to me that we are almost there in terms of achieving completion of the project. So my question is very basic. Where are we in terms of completion of the Crenshaw project?
So all the construction essentially is done. All we're doing right now, the contractor is doing is testing, and they are finishing their testing period. Metro is going to take over the project in the next couple of months. That trigger our own testing for safety and security and pre-revenue operation. That takes 5 months. So we're going to need 2 months for the contractor to finish the testing they need to finish. Then we take it over for 5 months to do our own testing.
So you think that perhaps somewhere near June, we will have that leg of the project pretty much?
June, July, yeah. You're
ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for your report, and thank you so much for the progress that you've made. And I know it has not been easy, but I can see the light at the end of the tunnel just as a spectator. So I can imagine as a worker that you feel even more fulfilled than I do. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. I'm sure no pun intended on the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. Yes.
Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you, first of all, to all the LA Metro team. You guys all come in very, heavy, and it makes us all try to intimidate us. But I have a whole ton of boring machine named after me, so thank you for that. I can always use it. By the way, who names these? Interesting names: Iris, Ruth. I think that one was Harriet or something like that. My friends. So who names these? I'm gonna go celebrate whoever named them. It's anonymous, right? Nobody says it.
I think it's a public competition. Is anybody from the construction nation can provide some information?
I can speak for regional. Regional they have a contest for the youth. The youth submits essays and try to tie it to the communities that the TBMs go through. So that's why you see some of the TBMs kind of represent the communities that they work on.
Oh, nice. Okay, well, good to know that. Okay. I do have just, maybe like 3 questions all around. So I'm just gonna just go through my little list that I have. On your Crenshaw line, and I'm very happy that we're close to ending that. It looks so much more better than, obviously 4 years ago, but you guys have done such great jobs on that. Now that it's coming to an end, what's gonna happen with your business interruption fund and the businesses there? Are you gonna leave and say thank you, our time's up, or how are you going to continue this relationship?
And you want to respond to that?
Yeah, I can jump in. For the business interruption fund, the grants are directly related to the construction impact. So as long as there's construction impact, the business interruption fund will be able to provide grants, up to a certain point. Specifically for the Business Solution Center, they're currently outreaching to their client base. They've been with the project since its inception, since early 2015. So they've really built up this small business client base, and right now they're focusing on regrouping with those businesses, outreaching, and ensuring that they have connections to business resources that will be there, once construction has been completed. That post-construction phase. So they're working hand in hand with those small businesses at this time because, both programs are pilot construction mitigation programs directly tied to construction. So they're really making that effort to ensure that they do have resources available once construction is complete.
Thank you. Have you all considered and I don't know, maybe this is part of your business, friendly relationship with the businesses that were impacted through the construction. Have you all considered putting some kind of free advertisement or some kind of advertisement for the businesses along the Crenshaw line that were part of your program into your ads in Metro or in the stops or anything like that to continue to promote the businesses around that area?
I can jump in on this one as well. I can't speak to post-construction, but I did want to highlight quickly the eShop Play program as well, which I personally don't work on, but is another construction mitigation program for small businesses and has been in place for construction. They are somewhat of a marketing program that will post small businesses on rail cards at the station plaza levels, on the fencing that surrounds the construction, and they have made great strides to promote the small business community.
Okay, well, if that's not a consideration, I would, and I don't know because I would love to see once you start testing your actual train, if we can maybe have, I don't know if you're even planning to have like a special type of trip for a lot of folks to just kind of see how that works or not. But I don't know what it's going to look from the inside, and I don't know if there's opportunity for us to continue to help these businesses. I'm just going to put it out there. I'm not expecting an answer or anything. I just want to say that that's another way to continue the good faith effort with these businesses that were impacted for so long, and not only by your construction, but by COVID as well. So they were double impacted, and a lot of these mom and pop businesses didn't make it, as you know, and those that did, we should really embrace them and figure out how we can continue to promote them and not let them lose. the cultural aspect that we have in that area. So I just want to put that out there. Not expecting anything. Just want to say that, you know, take that into consideration on a way to continue to be a good neighbor with our Crenshaw businesses. My second, I think it was, I'm not sure who said this, but somebody said a final event programming. What is that? And I'm still on Crenshaw, sorry, because I have them, and then I have one more on regional.
That would be on my end as well for the Business Solution Center. I did mention that they're in preliminary planning for a BSC event that will occur at some point next year. So that's currently in the works, and just really kind of a celebratory event for the small business community. You know, giving another chance to highlight the small businesses that have received services, and you know, help with that transition to post-construction. So that will be happening next year, early next year.
Good. I was hoping that's what it was, to be honest. I just wasn't sure. I was really hoping that's what it was. You said BEC. What is that?
BSC, Business Solution Center, yeah, which provides business resources to the small businesses along the alignment.
Okay, got it. Last one on Crenshaw. Our sidewalks there, maybe I'm wrong, but my understanding was that we have given that piece to our Bureau of Street Services. Was that right? To fix our sidewalks along the Crenshaw line.
I believe all the sidewalks are complete. There may be a couple of short stretches that Wilshire still has to do some punch list work and turn it over to the city. But the majority of sidewalks along Crenshaw, they have been completed and they have been accepted by the city of LA. With few
they have been inspected and approved technically by us, right?
Yes, for the majority of the lake.
For the majority, okay.
And then we're still working at the Crenshaw Station area. So between Exposition and Rodeo Obama, I know we're still working there. But for the most part, I believe the rest of the line has been accepted by the city, by ConAd.
Okay, good.
What we gave the BSS is paving along Crenshaw itself.
Street Services is doing that?
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, I'll check in with Street Services as well. I want to make sure that we leave those sidewalks, you know, to the best that we can, and obviously to our city code and standards, but the best that we can, and to the quality that we can, to make sure that our neighbors that were also impacted, that were not commercial, but our residents there, can now enjoy a very nice way to come out to a sidewalk, a line, and so forth. So I just want to make sure that we leave everything to the best standard that we can as city, you know, officials that we are. So I'll check in with Street Services on how that's coming along. But thank you for that, Stephanie.
You're welcome.
And my last question, and this is going to your regional connector. There was a slide, and I think this is going to go back to you, Sydney, that said eligibility ended June 30th of 2017. Was that right?
Yeah, so that work was specifically for the closure that occurred at the 2nd and Broadway segment. It was a historic, unprecedented closure that lasted for a duration of over 6 months and impeded both intersections. So the Business Interruption Fund was applicable during that period of construction.
It was never anticipated to have the BIF in that area, and when we closed the full intersection, we added it after the fact to help the businesses in that community. But it was never part of the planning, and so that's why it was only tied to that intersection closure.
Okay, got it. Okay, it was just kind of like a random line there. Eligibility ended 6/30/17. I just didn't know what that was all about.
Yeah, it was a unique scenario.
Okay, perfect. I think that's all I had for me right now. But I appreciate all your time, and I appreciate you answering all my questions. Thank you all. And if I don't see you all or talk to you all again, happy holidays. And we'll continue to work, and we'll continue to provide good service to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. I do not have any additional questions. Really appreciate the full regalia coming in this morning, and really appreciate the continued work and updates. So with that, happy holidays. Keep up the great work. Keep us informed, and look forward to the next steps.
Mr. President, I wanted to add one little point here that raised the issue. that Garcia's testimony talked about, which was helping the businesses. I wanted to just say in general, it was our hope throughout the city, by us having transportation like the rail system, that in and of itself would increase mobility of Los Angelenos, and thus then each small business would have more customers now. So as it has been done in New York for years, Washington, D.C., and others, that you will not be limited to the routine business of your neighborhood, that people will have access to your region because they are more mobile now. They don't have to have a car. So our hope is, just by the nature of this transportation, we will have increased customers for our small business and emerging business community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, and agreed. So thank you all, Metro, very much. Really appreciate y'all being here. I suspect you have work to do today. So take care. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Colleagues and guests, we will take a 10-minute recess. We'll be back at 11:52.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Mr. President, we do have recordings on both systems on. Would you like me to reestablish quorum for you?
Yes, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, reestablishing quorum for today. It's 11:53 a.m. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. Mr. President, you do have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Dr. Campos, and welcome back, everybody. I trust and assume that was a well-appreciated break. So let's jump back to item number 3 on the agenda. Item number 3 is a construction order. Mike Perlich and Sons, Inc., emergency pre-qualified on-call geotechnical structural construction services list, Pacific View Drive, 7300 bulkhead replacement project. Recommending the board, 1, approve construction order for the Pacific View Drive bulkhead replacement project to Mike Perlich and Sons, Inc., in the amount of $756,875 and a not to exceed limit of $908,250,000, including contingency, and 2, authorize the president or 2 members of the Board of Public Works to execute the construction order after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. This project is in CD4 and it is work order E1908653 C-133000. And who is with us to present? Mr. Garcia?
Yes, hello, my name is Pedro Garcia. I work for the Bureau of Engineering's Geotechnical Engineering Division. As stated by President Good, this board report is for the award of the Pacific View Drive 7300 bulkhead replacement project to Mike Perlich and Sons, Incorporated, in the amount of $756,875, with a not to exceed limit of $908,250, including contingency. The Bureau of Engineering administers the emergency pre-qualified on-call geotechnical and structural contractors list in order to provide emergency and urgent necessity geotechnical and structural services for public works projects and to preserve public safety. On February 25th, 2019, the board approved a list of 9 qualified contractors based on the evaluation criteria set forth in the emergency pre-qualified list's request for qualifications. The contracts were executed on March 29, 2019, with a term of 5 years and will expire on March 28, 2024. This project will construct a new bulkhead on the upslope side of the street to replace an existing deteriorated timber bulkhead. The new bulkhead is composed of 2 sections: an easterly section that will retain, excuse me, an easterly retaining section with a length of approximately 115 linear feet and a westerly slough wall section with a length of approximately 114 linear feet. The easterly section will be partially backfilled while the westerly section will not be backfilled. The bulkheads will be approximately 9 feet tall and consist of 28 soldier piles with precast concrete lagging panels. New asphalt concrete paving and an asphalt concrete berm will also be installed. On September 21, 2021, bids for the project were solicited from the contractors on the pre-qualified list in accordance with the executed contracts. On October 13, 2021, 5 bids were received at the board, of which Mike Perlich & Sons Incorporated was the low bidder with a bid amount of $756,875, which was 14.52% below the city engineer's estimate of $885,490. Staff recommends that the board approve a construction order for the project with Mike Perlich & Sons Incorporated in the amount of $756,875 with the not to exceed limit of $908,250, including contingency. Funding for the project in the amount of $908,250, which includes a construction contingency, is available in the SB1 Road Maintenance and Rehabilitation Fund, Fund number 59V, Department 50, Appropriation Unit number 50BVGQ. This concludes my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. We'll open up the floor. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. Good to see you, Mr. Garcia. I haven't seen you for a while either. It's not like all the folks are coming back right now. I don't have any questions. This has been on the docket for a while now, right? We've kind of coming back and forth with this item.
Well, there was a different project on Pacific View Trail that we recently completed construction. So that one did, I believe it went to board for approval for construction. But this is a new project. We just completed the design. And as soon as, if we get board approval, we will start construction. Construction is expected to last approximately 9 months, and we should be completed sometime next summer.
Is this in close proximity to the other one, or are they connected? That kind of led you to build this other program now, this other project?
They're within the same council district, but they're not connected. They're
okay.
a few miles away from each other.
Okay, no problem. I don't have any questions. It seems fair what we're doing here. Obviously, this is an important piece to what we have going on. My question is: why is it on under the emergency pre-qualified on-call list? Is this considered some kind of urgency?
Yes, the existing condition of the slope is kind of an urgent necessity. There is a lot of slope that's coming off of the slope, and it piles up on the roadway, which causes a hazard, for vehicles driving and also for pedestrians that are walking along that roadway.
Okay, good.
For those reasons, it's an urgent necessity project.
Okay, good. Good to hear that. Okay, I don't have any other questions. Thank you for answering my question, Mr. Garcia, and good to see you again.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks, Vice President Garcia. President Pro Tem Davis?
Yeah, Mr. Garcia, does that mean in terms of timing that have we already begun the work, or are we just anticipating the passage so we can get out and expeditiously start it?
We have not started construction. We are complete with the design. We did put the design out for bid, and we received the bid. So once we award this construction order for this project, the contractor will generally mobilize within 1 month of the award.
Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas.
Morning, thank you. I appreciate your report, Mr. Garcia. Wondering, do we have other projects in this area? Seems like the soil's really porous. Is there other projects perhaps that are going to be in that area? If it's it seems like we're being asked to approve it on an emergency basis.
Not along this same roadway at this time. This project actually combines 2 different locations that we investigated. They're basically right next to each other, but we investigated them at different points in time, and we're basically combining them into one project. And that should take care of all the issues on this roadway. There are quite a few other projects within the same council district. This is Council District 4, but those projects are being addressed separately.
Okay, and not as an emergency?
Yes, most of the time they're considered urgent necessity. Our contracts provide for issuing emergency construction orders when the conditions do justify having a contractor mobilize immediately. Then those are considered emergency. These are more urgent necessity projects, but they still fall under the qualified list.
Okay, thank you. It's just a matter of safety over here. I don't have any questions. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Closa.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your detailed presentation, Mr. Garcia, and for your work on this project. I don't have any questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. Yeah, I don't either, Mr. Garcia. I used our trusty tool of Google Maps to look at the existing timber bulkhead, and yeah, got to take care of business. So I appreciate y'all jumping on it. So I'll take a motion to move the item forward.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Closa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Dr. Campos, can we take a roll call, please?
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and take the vote at this time. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is carried unanimous and adopted. Mr. President, can we consider, or would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for all the noise behind me, everybody. There are sirens. Assuming a couple of things. All right. Let's move on, ladies and gentlemen, to item number 4. Item number 4, I think Mr. Akers is here. Thank you for your patience, sir. Item number 4 is relinquishment of rights, 17807 Sunburst Street in Future Alley in Lot 33, Tract 18012. Recommending the board, 1, execute the attached document relinquishing any and all rights to the City of Los Angeles for public alley purposes within the future alley shown on the attached Exhibit A, transmittal number 1, subject to the following condition. Petitioner shall make satisfactory arrangements with the Bureau of Engineering's Real Estate Division at 1149 South Broadway, 6th floor, Los Angeles, California, 90015, with respect to payment of document recording fees. 2, request the city clerk to attest the signatures of the Public Works Commissioners. And 3, instruct the BOE Real Estate Division to record the executed document in the Office of the County Recorder when the condition in recommendation number 1 has been satisfied. Ms. Sotelo, are you here on the item?
I am here on this item. Good afternoon, Commissioner.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners and Board President. My name is Christine Sotelo. I'm the Acting Senior Civil Engineer in the Permit Case Management Division in BOE. So on November 26, 2018, BOE received an application to relinquish the future alley per tract map number 18012 that was recorded on November 6th of 1952. The future alley has not been accepted and it has never been used nor improved as a public alley. The relinquishment of this alley does not impact the existing legal frontage of this lot or any other lot. The Council District number 12 has been notified of the proposed relinquishment and they do not object to the petitioner's application. So since the 25-year time limit for acceptance of this future alley has elapsed and the requirements for relinquishment have been met, BOE is requesting that the board execute relinquishment as authorized by the City Council. And I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Terrell. Any questions, colleagues? Commissioner Villegas?
I don't have any questions, but Ms. Sotelo, you mentioned CD 12. It shows that it's on CD 10.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe I had the wrong item.
I think that was a typo on the agenda.
Got it.
Because I noticed that too, and then if you look on the actual,
I know, I cross-referenced it too. Okay, I appreciate it. I don't have any questions. This is pretty straightforward. Thank you for your report.
I think that was just a typo on our part. Okay, thank you. President Pro Tem Davis?
So we are relinquishing the alley to a private homeowner?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And they obviously will be responsible for maintaining it and et cetera.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice President Garcia?
Yes, thank you. Hi, Ms. Sotelo. I haven't seen you for a while either. So good to have you here on our very last meetings of the year. Christine, piggybacking on Dr. Davis's question, they're going to maintain it, but is it also going to be open for others to drive through the alley as well? Because
No,
I see that it's a private yard.
It is currently not being used as an alley. So what happened is that the map recorded it as a potential future alley, but we had never accepted it. So it was never taken into city service.
So since we're going to relinquish our rights to the alley, we're going to give it to the private owner, and he's going to use it as a private yard. Wouldn't that stop the rest of the public using that piece of driveway?
So since we had never used it, it was never being used for that purpose. We had never accepted that as an alley. It was just put down in the map as a potential future alley that we would technically have to accept.
So the other neighbors do not use that as, like their cars don't come in through there and come out through there?
No, it has never been used for that purpose.
Okay. I'm fine with that. I just didn't want to, I see a lot of the neighbors have like a front driveway or like a roundabout in the front. I don't know if it's a roundabout. I don't know the proper terminology to that half U-looking driveway. Okay, so I see. It's a very tiny spot. There's nothing that can happen back there. Okay, no problem. Sorry about that. I just didn't want to exclude anybody else from using something that was public and now was going to become somebody's yard.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Colosa?
Thank you, President Good. Nice to see you, Ms. Sotelo. I don't have any questions for you. Thanks for your report. I'm sure Mr. Mucklebust is relieved that he's not presenting the relinquishment of the alley, which he usually does. Give him a little bit of a break. No questions, but happy holidays to you and your family.
Thanks, Commissioner. Yeah, for the public's sake, Ms. Sotelo, just building on Vice President Garcia's question, I mean, there's just a lot of basically easements for potential future alleys that were established, I think, in the 40s and 50s, right, when a lot of the zoning was done, and then things were built, and there was something that said after 25 years or something, those things could turn over if the property owner sought vacation of it, right?
Yes, you would have to not use it as a public alley, and we would also not have accepted it as a future alley. So both of those conditions must be satisfied, and they were satisfied in this situation.
Because I assume Mr. Akers is the property owner. Like, your house is actually on the easement, correct?
The house is not on the easement, but the entire backyard is, and part of the swimming pool, and several of the other adjacent neighbors have already gone through this process. Yeah. So there would be no through alley, even if it was to be utilized.
Well, with your pool, it would make for an interesting alley, right? So, hey, thanks for being here, Mr. Akers. I'll take a motion to approve the item.
I'll second.
Okay, Villegas, with a second from Commissioner Colosa. Dr. Campos, you want to take roll, please?
Absolutely. Mr. President, before we take roll, just to clarify, which council district would you like me to reflect on the journal? The report says CD10, agenda says CD10. Is it CD12?
I believe it's Council District 12, correct?
Why don't we ask Mr. Akers?
I'm looking for that right now. I believe it's 12.
I'm 100% sure.
Ms. Sotelo, well, Mr. Akers, it's CD 12.
It is CD 12. That is what it was written in the report.
Yeah, in the actual text, it says
Yes.
that. Just on
Oh, in the actual text, not the header of the report, because the header of the report indicates 10.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thank you, and I will reflect that on the journal.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Councilor
There is a motion from Commissioner Villegas, seconded by Commissioner Caloza to adopt item number 4. We'll go ahead and take the vote at this time. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza?
Aye.
Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Mr. President, could we consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, we need Mr. Akers to swim in comfort.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for being here. Thank you, Ms. Sotelo. Everybody have a good weekend.
Thank you. Have a good holiday.
Thanks. All right, folks, let's go to item 5. Item 5 is maintenance agreement, 1100 North Coronado Terrace, Sunset Boulevard, Coronado Terrace to Waterloo Street, Phase 1 project. Recommending the board, 1, authorize the city engineer or his designee to execute the construction, access, and maintenance agreement concerning Shot Creek Wall, dated May 5, 2020, with the property owner, Yolanda Ezel, owner of 1100 North Coronado Terrace, Los Angeles, California 90026, also known as Assessor Parcel Number 5402-018-029, as required for the Sunset Boulevard Coronado Terrace to Waterloo Street Phase 1 project, subject to the city attorney's approval as to form and legality. And 2, authorize the city engineer to request the Los Angeles Department of Transportation to process the payment of $47,395 made payable to the owner for the replacement of approximately 4,112.5 square feet of driveway that was partially removed and otherwise impacted by the project. Work order E1907478. Ms. Parra, are you presenting on this item?
Yes.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, President Good. Good afternoon, commissioners and distinguished guests. My name is Janelle Parra, Property Manager for the Bureau of Engineering. Unfortunately, I will not be able to show you the rendering. However, this is the first phase of a 3-phase project and part of the city's hillside slope stability program located on the north side of Sunset Boulevard between Coronado Terrace and Waterloo Street at 11 North Coronado Terrace, Los Angeles, California 90026, Council District 13. BOE Street Study suggested that during rainy days, debris will fall on Sunset Boulevard, creating hazardous driving and pedestrian conditions. This project is a proactive way to cure that hazardous condition by the construction of a shotcrete wall. The scope of the project consisted of constructing a soil nail retaining wall to stabilize a barren and steep slope approximately 200 linear feet of an approximate 400 linear feet slope. The slope varies in height from approximately 10 feet to approximately 40 feet. Construction included vine pockets and drainage swales, mow strips, and an omega fence, drain outlets, sub-drains, and an irrigation system. I'd like the board to note that the construction was completed on April 23rd, 2020. This agreement has been reached between the city and owner for $47,395 as compensation for the replacement of 4,112.5 square feet of driveway and the right for future access to maintain the shotcrete wall as needed. Upon the board's adoption of recommendations 1 and 2, and there's a fully executed agreement, that agreement will be recorded with the county recorder's office and will run with the land, meaning if the current property owner, Ms. Ezel, ever sells the land to another property owner, the city will continue to have that future access to maintain the shotcrete wall. The compensation was based on an administrative settlement as the property owner submitted 2 competitive bids. BOE senior construction estimator validated those numbers. Funding source. There's no impact to the general fund. The total funding for this project is not to exceed $47,395 coming from Department number 94, Los Angeles Department of Transportation, Fund number 59C, Appropriation Unit number 94 PV07. This is the last action needed to close out this project. That basically concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions, and happy holidays to everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Parra. President Pro Tem Davis.
I have no questions on this particular item. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you. I don't have any questions either. This is just work that we need to get done. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Vice President Garcia.
Just a quick confirmation, Ms. Parra. Is it the white wall across that street? I used our handy dandy Google also. Is it, yes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. That was all for me. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Commissioner Coloso.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Ms. Parra. I don't have any questions on this item. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah, no questions here, Ms. Parra. Also, important work, so thank you. And I'll take a motion to move the item forward.
So moved.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis.
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. And any questions or concerns? Well, actually, Dr. Campos, we want to take roll call, please, sir.
Absolutely. We'll go ahead and take the vote on item number 5. To adopt item number 5, we'll go ahead and start with President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Colosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion carries unanimous and it's adopted. Mr. President, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Parra. Have a good weekend.
You too.
And happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Bye-bye.
All right. Item 6, adjustment of gate fee rates. Central Los Angeles Recycling and Transfer Station, otherwise known as CLARTS, for 2022. Recommending the board authorize the director and general manager of the Bureau of Sanitation or Designee to adjust the gate fee rates at the Central Los Angeles Recycling and Transfer Station starting January 1, 2022. Mr. Zermano and I suspect Mr. Hamilton are here on this item. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, commissioners and Bureau representatives. John Hamilton, Bureau of Sanitation, Solid Resources Processing Construction Division. We're asking authority to adjust the gate rates at CLARTS for the 2022 calendar year. So the gate rate is for private haulers that bring in material to the CLARTS, which represents about 10% of the total material that's processed there. The other 90% is from LA Sanitation, who we don't charge. The gate rate that we're asking for is we want to raise the gate rate from $73 per ton to $75 per ton for regular municipal solid waste. And then for difficult to handle waste, we want to raise the gate rate from $83 to $85. So this is a 2.7% increase. And this is in line with previous increases we had. Last year, we asked for 3.6%. And the year before, we had a bit of an outlier, which was 3.7. That was because of some accounting changes in the way we calculated it. And then also, we had a large increase in the hauling going to CNG hauling trucks. So most of the increase for this year is for the hauling, about 60%. It's a 2.7% increase, as I said. About 60% of that 2.7% increase is from increased hauling fees, which I believe, and I have not deep dived into this to what the financial division, how they calculated that. But I believe that was from the increasing CNG pricing that has happened. The CNG has gone up in the last year or so about 50%. So I think that heavily impacted our hauling rates. And then, or I know it has, but the way they calculated it here as 60%. And then the cost to operate Clark's, there's a roughly 40% of that is from the cost of operations at the actual Clark's, which adds to that. So the regular rate will charge $75 for regular material being brought by residents and private haulers, and then the difficult to handle material is $10 above that, essentially. And that's when we have to get out and actually help them on the floor to discharge their materials onto the tipping floor at Clark's. And that concludes my presentations, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. For folks listening, though, I think through your presentation, it was made pretty clear. Can you just unpack for folks like what actual gate rate means?
So the gate rate is for private haulers. So it represents about 10% of the total material that comes into Clark's. And a private hauler would be residents who want to get rid of, some things that, waste. It represents private haulers who may haul to Clark's to have their materials transferred and hauled to the landfill by Clark's. And then the other 90%, which is LA Sanitation residential pickup, that's no charge for that, obviously.
Let me add to that, President Good. The gate rate translates, it's the dollar amount we charge per ton. So when it is, we call it gate rate technically, but it is the fee that we charge for the customers that come in and they want to use our facility. So we charge 70. In this case, we want to increase this to $75 per ton that they bring. So for every ton they bring, we charge $75. That will be for the residents, and for commercial, they come in as well. That's what it is. The gate rate is the fee that we charge to customers to use our transfer station. We charge whether it's less than a ton. They have to pay the 75. We don't break it down. It's normally per ton we charge.
Thank you, Mr. Zermana. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. And I'll open it up. Commissioner Close, any questions?
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Zarmenio. I'm just curious when the adjusted rate was calculated. Do you know when? And the reason why I asked is because obviously we've seen the news and there's been increased inflation. And so I'm a little, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but I actually expected this to be a little bit higher only because I know inflation is I think the latest numbers I saw for the CPI as of October 2021, I just pulled it up right now, was about 6.2%. And then I know you mentioned that the CPI or the increase in this is a little over 2%, right? So if you could just elaborate kind of when this was calculated and share more.
Yeah, so I think the calculation went up to September, October, something like that. And the reason there is not a large increase is because there's been a pay freeze for this year for our employees. So the hauling rate was really the major contributor. And actually the cost to operate Clark's is about $16 or so of that $75, and that includes the labor and the city labor to transfer the materials. And the reason that increased is because we actually recalculate the benefits for our employees a little bit differently. The cap was changed a little bit, so we had some increases there, which were roughly 15 or 20% for the benefits. So that was the increase there. But as far as labor, there was no increase at all because there was no increase in our salaries. And the hauling fee, which I said represented 60%, I believe, and I haven't deep dived on that completely, but I believe that was from the fueling costs, the increase in CNG for the methane gas that we use for the alternative fuel trucks. So we have seen increases in that, which have gone from $30 to $40 something. I know hauling to Sunshine, because of the price has just increased from about $2.40 to now it's over $3 per GGE, which is the gallon equivalent for CNG.
Okay.
So really, the inflation really hasn't affected this so much, because we have a long-term hauling contract, which it locks in the hauling, the base hauling, and that includes the labor for the drivers doing the hauling, and we had the salary freezes in place. So that inflation is not reflected in these numbers at all, I don't think.
That's correct, Commissioner. And what's going to happen, the CPI, it's we look at the 12 months for last fiscal year, so that's the way we calculate it. So when we come back next year, this is where you're going to see a higher gate rate increase. It could be $4 or $5 because now it's going to represent that CPI, maybe 6%. So yeah, and John is correct. We have locked long-term rates that help us to not to have an impact on the gate rate. So that's a benefit to us right now, that we have those contracts in place, and we have secured the if you want to call low hauling rates, just because those contracts were done prior to what's going on right now with the economy.
I appreciate you both explaining that. That was really helpful. And I just curious, I'm certainly not one advocating for higher gate rate fees, but I do want to make sure that LA SAN, of course, is not taking on the financial burden of any additional inflation that may have happened since you last calculated this. So I appreciate the extra detail on that. And so you do this, and this is my last question, is you adjust these every year?
It's really an as needed, but typically we have been adjusting every year. Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you both for your presentation. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Calosa. Any questions, President Pro Tem Davis?
Yeah, you suggested that it would be $75, I guess, with the increase. What is it now? What is the fee now currently?
It's $73.
So it's 73, and we're basically just
for the basic service of if they bring it and they're able to unload it.
Sure.
It's $3. If we have to help them unload, then it's $10 more. It's $85.
And so we're going up to. Also, are we requesting $85 or $75?
We're requesting both. If somebody brings material to the site and we have to help them unload on the tipping floor, we'll charge them an extra $10 a ton.
Okay, gotcha. That's $85 for that. But generally, we are charging an additional $2 to $75. Correct?
That's right. Yeah. For a regular haul-in, we're charging we were charging 73. Right now, we're charging 73. Then January 1st, we're going to start charging 75.
Right.
For the difficult material where we have to help them on the tipping floor, we're charging 83 right now, and then it's going to raise to $2. That'll be raised $2 to $85.
Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. And I too appreciate the report. Just a question, and I think I asked this last year when we had you all come in for a fee increase. You know, as these increases are being requested of our board, what kind of an increase are we providing to the Community Benefit Fund, and how does that increase? Because I haven't seen any increase to that fund, and yet we still have a lot of people coming in to CD14 to just cause an impact. And when will that take place?
So the amenities fund is it's a $1 charge per ton. So that's part of the $75 is the amenities fund, which is $1.
And that hasn't changed for some time. So that's my true question. When will that take place?
Commissioner, maybe I can elaborate on that.
I realize that that's not on the table today. It's just for additional information, and it's something that we could possibly work on in the future.
That is correct, Commissioner. And for that, I believe we have to go back to do amend the ordinance, because that community trust fund was approved through a city ordinance. So that's something we have initiated conversations with City 14 to discuss a potential increase, but that would be something that we have to discuss through a city ordinance. Then that will be a different conversation. But I understand that that hasn't been increased for more than a decade, and that could be that discussion whether it could be a little bit higher. But that would be a separate conversation.
And just listening, to in 2019 we had a 3.7% increase. In 2020 we had a 3.6% increase, and then today it's a 2.7% increase. And then just listening to the additional CPI potentially for the future, it'll be another increase next year to this, for this fee. And so, as parity, I'm just, wanting us to address the issue of a community benefit fund so that we can increase it. And I appreciate the information that you mentioned, Mr. Zermeno. Seems like the ordinance needs to be amended and it needs council action. So perhaps a meeting to get that started is needed and imperative. Thank you.
We'll follow up with that, Commissioner. But we'll
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good. I don't have any questions. I think my colleagues asked all the questions I had. Thank you, Mr. Hamilton and Mr. Zermeno for your report, and have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vice President Garcia. No questions on my end. I'll motion to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got Davis on second. And Dr. Campos, do you want to take the roll call, please, sir?
Absolutely. We'll start with President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous to adopt item number 6. Mr. President, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item number 7. Item number 7 is sole source task order solicitation, Davie Resource Group Street Tree Inventory Data Collection Project. Recommending the board, 1, authorize the Bureau of Street Services to issue a sole source TOS, or task order solicitation, to Davie Resource Group to allow continuation of the street tree inventory data collection project with the budget authority not to exceed $1,800,000, and 2, authorize the Bureau of Street Services to utilize the contract between Recreation and Parks and Davie Resource Group, C3878. And I see Mr. Benuelos, I see Mr. Spots. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to introduce the item and then I'll pass it to Hector, and we're going to try to keep our presentation very brief because of the length of today's meeting, and happy to answer questions. The Street Tree Inventory Project is really one of the largest projects I've ever been involved in my 9 years in Streets LA. We're tracking towards eventually cataloging 1 million sites, of which about 700,000 are expected to be live street trees, and another 300,000 are expected to be available planting locations and sidewalks and empty tree wells. We've completed the street tree inventory for 55 of the 99 neighborhood councils. The neighborhood councils are different sizes, but interestingly, we've collected data on 550,000 sites. So we're about 55% complete, whether you look at it in terms of sites or neighborhood councils. One of the most interesting findings that we've had is that there are so many vacant sites. You know, anecdotally, we had a sense there were a lot of vacant sites. We thought maybe that was primarily in underserved neighborhoods, but it turns out in all sorts of neighborhoods in Los Angeles, there are many tree planting locations that don't require a new concrete cut in a sidewalk, ready to go planting locations. The planting potential in the public right of way could be approximately 300,000 sites. We're coming to you today for two reasons. One, we're ready to award the remaining neighborhood councils as a task to our current contractor, Davey, under the new contract that they have with Rec and Parks. The original task was for the first sort of 60% of the neighborhood councils that were in the flat areas of the city. And that task was awarded under a contract with Rec and Parks that expired a month ago. But Rec and Parks has replaced that contract with a new contract. That does mean we have to award a new task. And the neighborhood councils that we're adding, the remaining ones, many of them have hilly areas. And we worked it out with the contractor to maintain the same price per tree for the field assessment of those sites, but adding a planning fee because often these sites have to be researched when you're in the hills. There may not be curb and gutter or sidewalk. The dimensions of the easement of the public right-of-way are not necessarily visually apparent when you're up in the hills, and so many of these individual tree sites need to be looked up on Navigate LA, and it's less efficient to collect that data because there may not be a sidewalk you can walk on and just, catch a tree every 20, 30 feet. So we've agreed to give a one-time planning fee depending on the percentage of the neighborhood council area that's hilly to the contractor to help facilitate this next phase. And I'd like to pass it to Street Tree Superintendent Hector Benuelos, who is our expert on contracting in urban forestry division.
Yes, thank you, Greg. Hi, everybody. My name is Hector Benuelos. I'm from Streets LA Urban Forestry Division, the superintendent. Yes, and kind of echoing what Greg just presented, we're also, as part of the inventory data collection, the contractors are also assisting Streets LA in integrating the inventory into the customer relations management system, the service request system, and also our new cartograph asset management system. So we're hoping to have just one integrated system to help us with managing urban forests when it's all said and done. So it's really a very large scale project, one of probably the largest in the nation, acquiring all this information for our street trees, and we're really excited to get this thing through, and hopefully with the board's approval we can then complete our tree inventory there with the city of LA. So we ask that the board approve the bureau's or give a bureau authority to in approving the task force solicitation so we can continue on with the tree inventory. That completes my presentation, and we're here to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Spots. Thank you, Mr. Benuelos. Really appreciate it. I will open up the floor. Vice President Garcia.
Thank you, President Good, and thank you, Mr. Spots and Mr. Benuelos, for your time today, this morning, or afternoon, I think, afternoon now. Quick question, will this Davey resource group will this inventory data collection, first of all, is it in public? Can we see it once it's all done? And I'm sorry if it's on your website and I just haven't gone to go see, but is that where it's housed right now?
It's cloud-based and public, and it is updated daily. So you can actually see yesterday's data collection.
Nice.
So all of the 550,000 sites in the 55 neighborhood councils that are completed are available on an online map. You can zoom into an area of interest, you can click on individual sites, and you can see dimensions of different trees, what species they are, etc. We're finding this is very helpful in responding to service requests. This wind event that we had a few weeks ago, where we had about 700 service requests in just a week, right around Thanksgiving time. This was the first time where we've had information before we roll up on the site as to what kind of tree might be there. And it enabled us to move much faster. And we are very excited that this data is public. The previous tree inventory that was conducted in the late 90s was before GIS, so we didn't have a latitude and longitude exactly of each tree. And that was only available through a city PC behind the city's firewall.
Yeah,
So this is
I
very
don't
different.
have internet like this back then in 1990. I don't remember that.
So this is a very different situation where, you know, the public can look at this data. We could do a like 2-page summary of each neighborhood council when we complete it. And we offer to the neighborhood councils to come to one of their meetings and actually present these findings. And we've given dozens of presentations so far and had very rich dialogue with the neighborhood councils about what their planting priorities are now that they know where all their available sites are.
Got it. So just for a program, from my understanding of how you structured this, so you've in essence, for lack of a better word, hired in air quotes, hired our neighborhood councils to do their work in their own backyard.
No, we haven't hired any civilians. Davy Treekeeper has licensed arborists doing the work.
Okay.
But we do it, rather than just doing it all over the city at once, we work one neighborhood council at a time.
Okay.
And when we complete that neighborhood council, we make a summary report. And I can share with you after the meeting links to those summary reports that you can review.
Okay, good. Maybe I asked my question not properly. What I wanted to know is how are the neighborhood councils involved in this tree data collection?
The involvement is primarily after we've finished a neighborhood council, we offer to them to come to their next meeting, usually by Zoom these days, and present the 2-page summary and direct them to where all the data is that they can look through. And often they come having looked at the data already with some very specific objectives they'd like to share with us in collaboration on future work in the neighborhood.
Okay.
So it's really neat. It's the first time any neighborhood councils have had access to the total set of trees in their neighborhood.
Nice. So out of the 99 neighborhood councils, you have tackled 55?
Yes.
Okay, and this 1.8 will allow us to do the next 55, in other words?
The next 45. There's, I think, either 99 or 100 of them. So yeah, it's the remaining 45.
Okay, and these are the ones that are a little harder because they're in hills and, you know, okay, got it. Okay, that's all for me. I think I'm pretty clear on this item. Thank you so much, President Good, and I appreciate you both. Happy holidays if I don't see you both again.
If you ever want to go through a neighborhood with us online, we'd be happy to set up an appointment and show you that.
I do, and I was happy actually to see that Sycamore was part of your hard to reach places, just because I live in Sycamore and I know that we have a lot of hills here. So that was all. Thank you though for your time, and I do appreciate that. I will seek for that.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes, Mr. Spots, you have already begun this work with some neighborhood associations in terms of assessing the tree inventory in their environment. And in the system that we have from Davy Resources Group, this is an interactive system in terms of using it on computer or through the technology that we use with it. It is an interactive system.
It's a clickable map that's available on any computer or mobile device on the open public internet. It's very easy to use. And basically, you keep zooming in until you see individual trees. And if you click on a tree, you not only get the species and the size, but there's a Google Street View picture and a Google satellite picture of that tree. And you can manipulate that just by zooming in or rotating these pictures with your fingers. So it's amazing how relatable it is. You can orient yourself right away to where you are, the corner that you're at, what you're looking at. It's really neat.
Great. How long do you think it will take us in terms of building out the infrastructure of this system within the city? I know that you just stated that you've worked with some groups already, but as we look at the overall project, what is the timeline that you anticipate?
It's taken about 2 years to get to 55% completed. We started late January. We expected to have maybe 15, 16, 17 arborists from Davy working every day. But with
Mhm.
COVID, it turned out to be more like 10.
Got it.
They wanted to bring in some of their staff from, they have locations around the country. People didn't want to work outside of their home area during COVID. It's actually good news in a sense, more local Angelenos who are qualified arborists have been hired on this project as a result. So the throughput has been a little bit slower than we would have liked. However, we collected data every single week from late January 2020 till now. The project never ever came to a stop during the pandemic. So we're actually very proud of Davey, the contractor, for being able to carry it forward in ever-changing and challenging conditions.
When we
But we
look
think
at
it could take up to 2 more years to finish. Like
Sure.
around this 2 Christmases from now, we should be done with the project.
Sure. When we look at the data that we will be able to obtain from the system, will that include the up-to-date health of a certain tree?
It does. That part is private to our staff for liability risk reasons. And we're using that all the time. And in fact, the arborists for Davey, they identify the highest profile interventions that are needed for dead trees that might be leaning, or broken limbs that are hanging up in the tree. So when they finish going through a neighborhood, we follow with a crew and we pick up all these issues that were proactively identified and we remedy them.
When we look at the data that we will be able to obtain from the technology that we're paying for here, this information will be able to be utilized in a way that will allow us to have what kind of decisions in the work that we do. Will it help to expedite these decisions? And what other impacts will the data that we get from this new system help us to do?
Well, that's a great question, and that's the whole direction we're heading in Streets LA, right? We're on an asset management journey, so we want to have every asset that we work with located, categorized, and its condition assessed, and have a maintenance program that's driven by strategies that are derived from the data on the condition of each of the assets. So most of our assets will be in the master system cartograph. The trees will be in Davey, and the road surface information will stay in our pavement management system, micropaver. But we're going to be, moving towards strategically investing resources based on the trends that we're seeing in the data. For example, we'll be able to identify when a pest might be moving through a part of the valley and killing trees, not just through service requests from the public, but through analyzing comprehensive data about the trees. And our staff will be updating the tree health and maintenance every time we touch a tree. Our tablet-equipped staff will roll up on a location, look up what we know, and update it. So each tree will have its own personal health record, like we do at Kaiser.
Would you say that when we look at our construction infrastructure in the city of Los Angeles, that it includes the challenge of saving trees? Will the data that we're able to obtain from this system allow us in our planning to perhaps make some more efficient and effective decisions as to saving trees in advance, as opposed to currently how we're having to approach it physically now, that this data might help us to be better planners around the potential of saving trees, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. Earlier this week, Hector and I joined our monthly tree coordination meeting with the Planning Department, Bureau of Engineering, and Building and Safety. And we were sharing with our colleagues in those agencies that they're now able to look up street trees as they evaluate the first application that a project comes in. They don't need to commission a physical inspection from us to even know what's there. There's there's a 55% chance right now that there's a recent professional arborist assessment of the street trees that's already in the system. So there'll be a lot of users for this data outside of our agency.
Okay, great. And I would think finally that more people who have a concern about achieving a certain goal in saving trees will be able to tap into this technology at the same time and make earlier decisions or give earlier opinions about the potential of saving trees, would you say?
Definitely, and it will create new opportunities for public engagement, even things that we're not used to. I mean, if a tree falls down, although the health information is private to us, the news media could look up that tree on Davy Treekeeper and know what size it was measured and what species it is. It's a brave new world of our 700,000 trees we're taking care of being accessible to all.
Wow. I don't know how contractors will feel about that, but thank you so much for your answers. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Clozo.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Spots and Mr. Benuelos. I just am actually on your Davy Treekeeper website right now, looking at a Brazilian pepper tree. Lots of cool stats here for the public, for the board, for everyone to use. Just curious on my end, there's a tab here, which is really interesting, that talks about tree benefits. Water benefits, greenhouse gas benefits. How is that calculated by Davy Treekeeper? And just curious how they come up with that calculation, because I think there's such important benefits on the website too about the value of trees. And just curious and wanted to point that out to the public and for anyone in CFAC who may be listening to this presentation, who care deeply about trees, as does the board.
So the arboricultural industry has some standard practices in evaluating the financial benefits of trees along various dimensions and adding those up into a total value. So Davy is using an industry standard methodology for that. It is interesting looking at an individual tree. It can be interesting looking at the trees in a corridor or in a neighborhood council or even in the city as a whole, because they do roll all those numbers up as you zoom out into regions. So there could be future policy implications if we have an estimated value of the tree when we think about removing it and what would mitigate that removal as a replacement.
Yeah, and I know this is harder to calculate. I would love to see a shade calculation for this, to know how much shade we might be removing when we take down a tree, because I know that's something that sometimes comes up in items for the board, but it's always an important consideration when on a hot day when you're under a tree that doesn't have maybe the best shade. But I know that that's something that Reckin Parks also looks at for a lot of their trees on their property, which is the value of shade, which I know you and Streets LA care about a lot, but I just plant that seed as a future consideration for the website. The other question I have is, I know obviously you guys use the GIS technology for this. The other GIS website that we all use a lot at the city, there's one obviously at planning, and then there's Navigate LA, which has many layers attached to it. Will the trees become a layer on some of the other platforms, just so there's some coordination and synchronization there for some of the other websites that we utilize for planning purposes?
That's a really good question. The great thing about this vendor is they actually design the software system in which it's kept. And that system is a work management system as well. You can, write up a work order to trim the trees on the 1100 block of Pear Street, and then to assign it to a crew. And so they have a whole IT department at Davy, and we're hiring them to first integrate with MyLA 311, and that integration went live 2 weeks ago. The next integration is with Cartograph, which is our master asset management system we're deploying for the whole Bureau. And Cartograph may end up integrating with Navigate LA and other systems. So down the road, probably there will be projects that may require funding as well to kind of integrate all the asset management data that Streets LA is collecting and cartograph with other parts of the city's asset management.
Okay. Thanks for explaining that. Yeah, and I understand that that's definitely a much larger scope and additional funding would be required for that kind of integration. But I make that plug out there just because there's so many great websites that the city uses for asset management, for planning on our infrastructure projects that are in existence, and I would love to see it all in one place. I know they're managed by different parts of the city, Navigate LA, ZMS, and then now this. So I would love to see the layers all in one place, so you're not on 3 different websites looking at 3 different assets. So I just make that plug out there as well for that kind of integration. I don't have any further questions here, but just super excited to see the progress on this project, and thank you both for your hard work.
By the way, Commissioner, that spirit of not having siloed systems is why we piggybacked on Rec and Park's use of Davie already. We wanted to have a map that had the public managed trees in LA, not one link for the park trees and one link for the street trees.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I saw that there's, if you go on the website, there's 2 different boxes that you can check off. You can check off like trees and park property, and then street trees, which is great. So I appreciate the integration there from Streets LA. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Close. I will note for the record, Dr. Campos, that we just had our second very relevant pun. Dr. Davis referred to the light at the end of the tunnel with Metro, and Commissioner Closer referred to planting the seed with our tree inventory. So I just want to make that note for the record. Commissioner Villegas.
Good catch. Good analogies, everyone.
Yeah, we're getting better with our philosophies here.
No pun intended.
That's right.
Yeah,
I challenge others to come up with theirs.
I'm ESL. English is my second language, so I'm not even going to do it. I don't have any questions. I just actually have a comment. I know that the mayor's office is working on interdepartment project delivery MOU for the public right-of-way protocols. And so I know that when I've spoken to them, I shared, just to use our Davie resource for trees, incorporate that into just a resource that they could use, as these protocols are getting developed and as the MOU is getting developed for all the interdepartments working on our public right-of-way. It doesn't necessarily take care of, the different websites where we have this information, but it at least kind of coordinates it, or the effort is there to be able to coordinate it. And a lot of good work is being compiled even just through, this pandemic, and just keeping, this work moving. And I'm glad that it's before us. Thank you, Streets LA, for all your effort to still, plug away and keep pounding on this. Hopefully we'll be able to also come up with a next step as we move forward into 2022. Hopefully we can come up with a tree financing mechanism, for the future. There's so many need to build, plant trees, we don't build trees, plant trees, but we know that they also cost for our public right-of-way, and so just looking at, working with getting something like that in the future. So that's all I'll say. Great job, everyone.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Ditto. Not really any questions. It was a very good conversation. I just love it. I mean, I think the real proof in it is just going to it and going to the site, and it's one of those kind of rabbit holes. I don't think that works as the third key pun, but because you just keep looking around and zeroing in on trees. It's really fun, and I would echo applause for Davie and Streets LA, or the Bureau of Street Services, in terms of continuing to grind forward during the pandemic, and because there was a lot of question around that, and it's really exciting work. It unlocks so many things, and to Mr. Spott's point, in terms of the Bureau of Street Services commitment to asset management paradigms, like this is key. These are assets. This is nearly 1 million assets in our city, and so getting them under a roof in terms of information and data is really crucial. So thank you, Mr. Spots. Thank you, Mr. Benuelos.
It's like a needle in a haystack.
Very good. I'll take it. We'll take it. We'll take that. We'll make that number 3. That's number 3. So, Auda, you and I are sort of in the lurch. No, you came. No, wait. Yes, no. Me and Jessica are in the lurch. We got to come up with ours. Okay. No, you did. You did see. That's right. No, it's me and Auda. Okay. Sorry. We got to figure something out here. We got about 30 minutes. You got to figure. All right, Mr. Spots, Mr. Benuelos, thank you. I'll take a motion, I suspect, from Commissioner Villegas to move the item forward.
Move the item. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Dr. Campos, can we have a roll call, please, sir?
Absolutely. We'll start with President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Mr. President, could we consider this to go forthwith?
Please, sir.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have good weekends. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's move to item number 8. Item number 8 is Construction Services Contract, Cisco Task Order Solicitation Capital Improvement Project 7260. Flow measurement at the flume on the north outfall sewer. Recommending the board authorize the director of the Bureau of Sanitation to request the city engineer to use the construction services contract Cisco and to issue task work orders to the contractor for an amount not to exceed $300,000 for the flow measurement at the flume on the north outfall sewer project. This is work order S10OSF. I did not know the word flume, Mr. Kopp, and got it and appreciate it. This one's begging for metaphor, everybody, so your shots are there, Auda and me. All right, thank you. Mr. Kopp, I believe you're here for this?
Thank you, President. Yes, I'm back and good afternoon. So this proposed urgent necessity project, as requested by LA Sanitation, will improve the flow monitoring at a particular location, which is the sewer connection between the cities of Burbank and Los Angeles, located somewhat near Clybourne Avenue. And what this project does is enters an existing flume and does cleaning and monitoring. So to explain what this flume is, somewhat similar to those like old cartoons of like people panhandling for gold, panning for gold in rivers, you know, like during the gold rush and stuff, and you know, it goes down a certain geometry channel, and it's been used for a very long time, tried and true method of for any open channel type flows, whether it's a sewer or a river. You can route flows through a flume that are made with certain geometries where you can simply gauge the level of the flume as the water's passing through, run a couple simple calculations, and you therefore know your flow. It's part of what a lot of us engineers have to know, you know, to be licensed. It's a very fundamental thing of civil engineering. And so what this proposed project serves to do is go access this passive measuring mechanism and provide a continuous monitoring device. Now, compared with the conventional means of gauging levels in a sewer, you know, we would have LA Sanitation crews go out periodically, let's say for designing a new sewer, and they would send a gauge manually as needed basis to assess the level in the sewer, and therefore we know the flows, and if we have to upgrade a sewer or something like that, we can use that data as needed. But in this particular application, this proposed project is to provide an in-situ monitoring device that would be continuously monitored and maintained over the course of the year. And what this would allow us to do is provide a payment structure within the contract agreement between the cities of Burbank and Los Angeles. Moving a couple steps backward, as we all know, the city's collection system is expansive. It's over 6,500 miles of pipelines underground, mostly open channel. They flow by gravity. And as such, a lot of the neighboring communities contract with the city of Los Angeles via LA Sanitation to discharge into the city's collection system, ultimately ending up at one of the 4 water reclamation plants, either side stream or end of the line plants, depending on the location. And so what this project will do, as proposed, is to hire a subcontractor through our currently active construction services contract that we manage out here at the Environmental Engineering Division. And they would hire this specialty subcontractor to come out, clean the existing flume, and install this in situ measuring device and make sure it works for a year, collect that data, and use that to support the payment structures that will be specified in the new service agreement between the City of Los Angeles and the City of Burbank. As it concerns in the agenda item, the request to use the construction services contract, or Cisco for short. Just for knowledge, this is a contract that is renewed about every 3 to 5 years, where essentially an on-call, qualified and competitively bid general contractor is mobilized for that continuous duration and can perform a number of different scopes of work based on what the city has laid forth in the bid proposal, but primarily includes work including the LA Sanitation's collection system and of the 4 water reclamation plants, and also for odor control facilities located through the collection system. And so due to the relatively small scope of this work, and combined with having the opportunity to use the Cisco contractor who's already mobilized, and to answer the request at LA Sanitation to treat this as an urgent necessity, this agenda item proposes to use the Cisco contract vehicle for a not to exceed amount of $300,000 using the task work order methodology. That concludes my staff report.
Thank you, Mr. Kopp. President Pro Tem Davis?
What is the time period, sir, in terms of when we would like to implement this project?
The timeline is urgent necessity, so upon approval by the board, we can engage in negotiations with the general contractor. A lot of these times, we can support these authority requests not just with the city's own independent estimating, but we can get a quotation from the Cisco contractor to help us support these figures. So that has already been received, and so upon the board's approval, we can continue negotiations and authorize the work pretty quickly.
And we're working with the city of Burbank in this effort. Is that which? No, not Burbank. What city did you tell me? Glendale?
It's the cities of Burbank and Los Angeles.
Okay, Burbank.
Their renewed agreement for the city of Burbank's connection to the city sewer system. And, based on this flow data, it will be used to support and negotiate a payment structure within that contract.
Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Vice President Garcia?
Thank you, President Good. I really don't have any. Well, Mr. Kopp, does the amount usually go up and then you negotiate that fee? Is that what happens after?
So the scope of work includes a few things. One, bringing the vendor on board to the site, doing the cleaning, and then installing the device, and then periodically going to check on this device, make sure it's working, collect the data, provide that data to the city.
Right.
And so what we do with what we call the task work order methodology is within this, for example, this $300 budget, our first scope of work would be negotiated to get them out there to clean and install the device, and we pay as we go, so to speak. And the total $300,000 amount would encompass all of those sequential steps that I mentioned.
Got it. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much for your explanation on that, and look forward to moving. I mean, it sounds like we do this you do this periodically, right? Like I think you said 2 to 3 years.
For this one, I'm not exactly privy to all the timelines and inner mechanics of the contract agreement itself. I know we have some folks from LA Sanitation as attendees here that may be able to speak to some of those specifics.
No, I'm fine with it.
Okay.
I'm pretty clear on, I'm pretty good with this. I just wanted to know if this is something that we do this often or not, but I can get that from the board, or I can ask that later. No problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Commissioner Villegas.
Thank you for your explanation, Mr. Kopp. That was really good background for us non-engineers. So I appreciate the information, and just the context. Your board letter is really clear as well. I don't have any questions. I'm fine. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Closa.
Thank you, President Good. Nice to see you again, Mr. Kopp, both in the morning and now in the afternoon. So thanks for your patience. I don't have any questions. I thought you had a really detailed presentations, and hopefully this is your last item for today, so you can go get some lunch.
Yes, it is. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I don't have any questions. The report was excellent. Thank you, Mr. Kopp. Very clear. I'd like to come up with a good analogy for flume, but I don't have it at the moment. So
It's water under the bridge.
Oh, that's a good one.
hey,
That's two for Villegas.
This is coming in with two so far.
Yeah, you guys are just going with the flow here, so.
And then Jordan pops in. Oh, did you hear that? Jordan pipes in. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I think I get one for that. Okay, so.
geez, I'm under pressure now.
You were floating along. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. I'm behind here. I'm behind.
All right, I will motion to move the item forward. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. I'll take 2 seconds. Davis and Villegas. Dr. Campos, can we get a roll call, please?
Absolutely. Just to be clear, we have a motion by President Good, seconded by Commissioners Davis and Villegas to adopt item number 8. We'll go ahead and take the vote now. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza?
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and is carries unanimous. Mr. President, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, let's do, please.
Thank you.
Colleagues, do you need a 5-minute break, recess? Are we ready? Can we grind on through? Okay, I see nods. We will take a 5-minute recess, but 1:18 sharp. I'll see you back.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Mr. Kopp.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, Mr. President, both recordings are on. Would you like me to reestablish quorum?
Yes, sir, please.
Thank you so much. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer, reestablishing quorum. It's 1:20 p.m. We have President Good, Vice President Garcia, President Pro Tem Davis, and Commissioners Caloza and Villegas. Mr. President, you do have a quorum.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. All right, welcome back, folks. We're going to take items 9, 10, and 11 together. Mr. McReynolds, I'll read all 3 items into the record, and then you can give your overall presentation, and we'll take them together, okay? Okay, item 9, contract acceptance, secondary sewer renewal program, difficult to access reaches, DAR 03, Northeast Los Angeles, Eagle Rock, Los Feliz, and Griffith Park, recommending the board accept this contract. Work order SZC 12813. Item number 10 is a contract acceptance, Slauson Compton Sewer Rehabilitation, recommending the board accept this contract. Work order SZC 11944. And item number 11 is another contract acceptance, Class 3 remedial slope mitigation at Sunset Boulevard, Coronado Terrace to Waterloo Street Phase 1, recommending the board accept this contract. Work order E1907478. Good afternoon, Mr. McReynolds. It is good to see you. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, President Good and commissioners and colleagues. Brett McReynolds, Bureau of Contract Administration. I'll go ahead and start with the first one, which is SSRP, the Difficult Access Reaches, otherwise known as DAR, program in Eagle Rock. This contract was executed by your board on May 3rd, 2017 to Ramona Inc. in the amount of $6,387,418 with additional contingency. The project provided for the repair of over 5.95 miles of sewer lines in the council districts 1, 2, 4, 9, 13, and 14. Work also included modifying sewer structures and being the difficult access reach program. Some of this is very unique work that involves some on-the-fly decision-making. 27 change orders were issued, decreasing the total cost of the project to $5,997,478.82, which is 6.10% below its award amount and 10.58% below the budget. Funds were provided by the SCM. All work, including final corrections, were completed on June 4, 2020. Since that time, there have been subsequent incremental releases of disputed funds and retentions. The last release of retention was August 13, 2021. Currently, there are no disputed funds or unresolved property complaints. The contractor has complied with all EEO and labor compliance requirements, including the project labor agreement. So asking for your acceptance on that one. Second one is item number 10, which is the Slauson-Compton Sewer Rehabilitation Project in CD 8 and 9. This contract was executed by your board on February 18, 2015 with Colich & Son, LP, in the amount of $15,994,640 with additional contingency. The project rehabilitated 21,142 lineal feet of large diameter sewers, 36 to 42 inch. Some of these sewers had originally been built in the early 1900s, so they were quite old. 24 change orders were issued, increasing the total cost of the project to $16,501,542.81. That is 3.17% above its award amount and 1.74% below its authorized budget. Changes were made in measured quantities and structures. Funding was provided by wastewater program funds. The contractors complied with all EEO and labor compliance requirements, and it should be noted that PLA goals were exceeded on this project. All work, including final corrections, were completed November 13, 2019, and there was a final release of disputed funds that took place on July 23, 2021. There are currently no disputed funds or property complaints that are unresolved, so requesting acceptance on that one. And the last one is the Class 3 remedial slope mitigation, item number 11. This should be noted that this was the item number 3 referred to today that Ms. Parra agreed, the maintenance agreement that Ms. Parra presented. This is the acceptance for that contract. On April 14th, 2018, this contract was awarded to Jilk Heavy Construction Incorporated. The project award was $1,797,465 with additional contingency. The contract provided for the repair and replacement of 200 lineal feet of degraded slope, including installing a soil nail and shotcrete wall system. One change order was issued, bringing the total cost of the project to $1,875,526.31, which is 4.34% above the award amount and 9.27% below its not-to-exceed budget. Change orders were adjusting the quantities, which is where we come up with the change order quantities. Funding was through the DOT appropriations, and the contractors complied with all EEO and labor compliance requirements. Work was completed on this project April 23, 2020, and retention released intermittently with contractor provided information to OCC with a final release in July 23, 2021. There are no unresolved property complaints or disputed funds on this project. Those are the three. I will entertain any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. McReynolds. I'll open it up for the floor. Vice President Garcia, any questions?
Point of clarification, your number 11, that was the one that was presented just earlier?
Well, no, that's the one that referred to, Ms. Parra was presenting the maintenance agreement that's associated with this project. So the project was completed, and what she was presenting was a maintenance agreement with the adjacent property owner so that we can get access to this project going forward.
Okay, perfect. That's all for me. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. McReynolds, and happy holidays.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Yeah, in terms of the report, I understand each of the report to reveal that, in fact, we have completed each of the projects, number one, and number two, there are no outstanding financial issues on either of the three items. So therefore, at the appropriate time, I would move that we accept items 9, 10, and 11, given those particular facts, as it relates to accepting all three of them in one motion.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Commissioner Villegas?
Thank you. I don't have any questions. Appreciate your report. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Commissioner Coloso?
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your patience, Mr. McReynolds, and for being entertained by us today. We're getting a little silly now that it's 1:27. So, but I don't have any questions for you. Thanks for all your hard work on this, and have a great weekend.
Our second marathon of the week. All right, I don't have any questions, Mr. McReynolds. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And I'll take a motion to move items 9, 10, and 11 forward.
So move.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Coloso. Dr. Campos, you want to take a roll call, please, sir?
Absolutely. This is to adopt items 9, 10, and 11. We'll go ahead and start the vote. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Coloso?
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
The motion is adopted and carries unanimous to adopt items 9, 10, and 11. Mr. President, would you like to consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, sir, please.
All three items. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Let's move now to item 12. Item 12 is our monthly finding to continue teleconference meetings pursuant to Assembly Bill AB 361, recommending the board adopt the finding and determination in accordance with AB 361, Section 3E3, that while the state of emergency due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as originally proclaimed by the governor on March 4, 2020, remains active, and/or state or local officials have imposed or recommended measures to promote social distancing, this legislative body has reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency, and that the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the members to meet safely in person, and/or state or local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. I will take a motion to, or I will motion to approve item 12. Do I have a second?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Dr. Campos, can we take a roll call, please?
Absolutely. There's been a motion by President Good, seconded by Commissioner Davis to make the findings and adopt this motion. We'll go ahead and take the vote at this time. President Good?
Aye.
Vice President Garcia?
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis?
Aye.
Commissioner Coloso?
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas?
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous. Mr. President, can we consider this to go forthwith?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item 13. This is an authority for expenditure, South Coast Lighting and Design, Inc., Bureau of Street Services and Office of Accounting requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $36,495.18 to encumber funds for the design and fabrication services of scale models for the gateway monuments for the Maya Corridor project, and authorize the president or two members of the Board of Public Works to execute the associated contract after approval of the city attorney as to form. This is AE 225400002M, Fund Number 100, General Fund, Department Number 54, Appropriation Unit 00T790. Before I start the presentation, I want to acknowledge, by the way, Vice President Garcia's work on this project. I know she's been arm in arm with Ms. Buena Ruddy, and good afternoon, Anna.
Good afternoon, everybody. So as you mentioned, Vice President Garcia has been working very closely with our team at Streets LA to for this project for the 6th Street Maya Corridor project. This request is for Maya Corridor from 6th Street, from Parkview to Loma Drive, that will inform the fabrication of 2 gateway monuments located at either end of the project limits. The final monument gateway structures will feature sculptural glyphs with Maya motifs. Due to the use of several cultural glyphs on the design of the monuments, scale models are necessary to ensure the accuracy of the glyphs before we can proceed with fabrication of the actual gateways. Because a slight change of a glyph can completely alter its meaning, so we want to be careful and culturally sensitive. This project is currently in design and has been reviewed and continued to be reviewed by various representatives of the Maya community. And it also has been approved by the Department of Cultural Affairs. That's all I have to say. If you guys have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Buena Ruddy. Yeah, let's open it up. Commissioner Coloso.
Thank you, President Good. Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Buena Ruddy. I don't have any questions on this. Excited to see the project move forward. Thank you to Vice President Garcia for championing this, and just look forward to seeing what it's going to look like. So congratulations on the next step.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Coloso. President Pro Tem Davis.
Yes, thank you so very much for the update and the details of your report. I have no inquiry on the report at this point. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Villegas.
Yeah, I don't have any questions either. Appreciate Commissioner Garcia's work on this project. It's more than a fly on the wall.
And with that, the second A in the A&A Maya Corridor Project team, Vice President Garcia.
Geez, I'm losing here. I'm trying, you guys. I'm trying to get something out there. No, I don't have any questions. I'm just very happy to be at this point finally. And I really want to say thank you to Anna for her work, for her patience with working around this. It's a very sensitive, when we put something public like this. So she has been absolutely amazing in working around this. So thank you so much to Anna and Nina, who's on your team as well. I just want to make sure I bring her up. And I also want to say thank you to Kevin Min, which he's here too. Not on this capacity though, but on his previous capacity. So I want to thank him too, because he's really got us to this point. And of course, Council District 1, who has definitely also leading this process as well. And so all of us together, I just want to say thank you and look forward to really bringing something special in that area.
Thanks, Vice President Garcia. And I want to thank both of you and all of you, and Kevin as well, and Nina as well, for being so collaborative and helpful in terms of thinking critically about how to work with the film and television production industries in this for everybody's edification. Vice President Garcia and Ms. Buena Ruddy and the team worked with us and Ms. Bitar to make sure that everything comported and was going to continue, wasn't going to hinder the work that happens every day in terms of filming very often. So thank you all very much. I'll take a motion from Vice President Garcia to move the item forward.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll take a second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Dr. Campos, you want to take a roll call, please, sir?
Absolutely. We'll start the vote now. President Good.
Aye.
Vice President Garcia.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis.
Aye.
Commissioner Colosa.
Aye.
And Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
This motion is adopted and carries unanimous to adopt item number 13, the AFE. Mr. President.
Forthwith.
Okay.
But by the way, Anna has made sure that we're going to have one of these really nice small-scale projects in our office. So we'll be able to see it.
Excellent. Thank you very much. It's great to see you. Have a great weekend, Anna.
Thank you. You too.
All right. Item 14. This is to receive and file. The mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the proposed memorandum of understanding between the City and Environment Trust for Public Land and Pacoima Beautiful to install a food service kiosk in Bradley Plaza in Pacoima. C-130638, referral BPW 2021-0523. Do I have a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia.
I'll second that.
A long time ago. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Dr. Campos, you want to take a roll call, please, sir?
Yes, President Good,
Aye.
Vice President Garcia,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza,
Aye.
and Commissioner Villegas.
Aye.
The motion is adopted and carries unanimous to adopt item number 14. Forthwith. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Item 15, the mayor has also approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Street Services to execute the proposed personal services contract between the city and Mariposa Landscapes, Inc. for maintenance services at the Venice Canals, Grand Canal, and portions of the Bayona Lagoon. Work order M0000131. I will motion to receive and file the item. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Vice President Garcia. Dr. Campos, can we please take roll?
Yes, we can. We'll start with President Good,
Aye.
Vice President Garcia,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza,
Aye.
and Commissioner Villegas. This motion carries unanimous. Mr. President, forthwith.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Now let's move to item number 16. This is a stop payment notice with Machado Lake Pipeline. CMEX Construction Materials Pacific LLC is transmitting a stop payment notice in the amount of $24,508.99 for concrete work for OHL USA Inc. in connection with the Machado Lake Pipeline. C-131470, communication number 122529, C-131470, filed November 30, 2021. I'll motion to approve this stop payment notice. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Dr. Campos, you want to take a roll call, please, sir?
Yes, absolutely. Mr. President,
Aye.
Vice President Garcia,
Aye.
President Pro Tem Davis,
Aye.
Commissioner Caloza,
Aye.
and Commissioner Villegas. This motion is adopted and carries unanimous.
Let's move it forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right. That brings us to item 17, and I see we have a Paul Bingaman sighting. Mr. Bingaman, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, President Good and Board. Thank you for allowing me.
Real quick, Mr. Bingaman, I need to read this into the record, I think. Your status update on major upcoming street improvement projects from the Bureau of Street Services, starring Paul Bingaman.
I just wanted to thank the board for allowing me to present the last 4 weeks. It's been enjoyable. This information is being provided to keep the public informed on upcoming resurfacing projects and to minimize the impact on the community as well as delays to commuters. Streets LA would like to provide you with an update on all major upcoming street improvement projects. The following major street project is scheduled for the Metro resurfacing region during the week of December 12th through December 18th, 2021. On Sunday, December 12th, 2021 at 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., we will complete paving on Crenshaw Boulevard between Rodeo Place and 43rd Place in CD10 Empowerment Congress West Area Neighborhood Council Pavement Preservation Program Fund. There are no major street projects scheduled for the Valley region and during the week of December 12th through the 18th. However, we will provide an update on our 21-22 pavement preservation program. The press releases were broadcast and notifications have been issued Streets LA has coordinated with the Council District Office to assist with the outreach to stakeholders, and we have coordinated with the Los Angeles Department of Transportation for traffic control assistance. This information is also available on the Streets LA website. For additional information or concerns, you can contact Sherrod Nichols at 213-847-3200. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bingaman. Any questions, colleagues? All right, you're always welcome, Mr. Bingaman, and it's been good to have you here with us as well. You have a great weekend, okay?
You as well.
Thank you, sir. Okay, for our last item today, certainly not least, item number 18. This is a status of grant-funded programs and projects from all bureaus. Did you all pull sticks in terms of who goes first, or am I just gonna be arbitrary?
If you want, Mr.
So
President.
we could just grant them. We can just grant them their line of
We
items.
did it! All right, we're 5 for 5. We're 6 for 6. Well done, Vice President Garcia.
We sound like broken records.
I'm back to last again.
They just keep on coming. They just keep on coming. I love it. All right. We'll start with Ms. Prophet.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Hello.
My name is Paru Prophet from LA Sanitation and Environment, and I'm here to provide a briefing on LA San's comprehensive grants report for the period covering July 1st through October 31st, 2021. The report was sent to the board, so you should have it available to you. I want to point out we typically report through November, but because the report's required 1 week before the meetings, it's been very difficult for us to provide the latest month. So unless the board objects, we're going to be transitioning our reporting period. And so the next semi-annual report will have 6 months of reporting for November through April. So currently, LA San manages a grant portfolio in the amount of $34.8 million, representing 33 executed grant agreements, as reflected in our active grants and loans summary. The summary also includes our loan information, but we intend to update our database reporting in the future to have separate summaries, so that's not quite so confusing. But right now we have them together, so I hope, and we have little comments in there so you can see the distinction between what our loan amount is and what our grant amount is. $34.8 million represents one grant totaling $3.5 million for clean water programs, 5 grants totaling $5.5 million for environmental programs listed as other, 19 grants totaling $10.2 million for the solid resources program, and 8 grants totaling $15.6 million for the watershed protection program. Details of each of those grants are provided in Attachment B. In Attachment B, we'll include, we do monthly status updates for both our projects and our grant statuses, and we also show the invoiced amounts and how much revenue we've received to date. So we try to include a lot of that detail in this report. In Attachment C, we show that LA San was awarded 4 grants for a total of $2.8 million during this reporting period. This includes environmental projects such as beverage container recycling, brownfields cleanup, community composting, as well as additional funds that we received from LA County Flood Control District for one of our stormwater capture projects. LA San is also capturing loan funds in this report, and we're happy to say that we did complete our loan agreement with the EPA for a $224 million WIFIA loan for the DCT Advanced Water Purification Facility during this reporting period. We had no applications that were declined during this reporting period, but we are currently awaiting funding decisions for 6 applications totaling $7 million, as shown in Attachment E. We're also still pursuing a State Water Resources Control Board State Revolving Fund loan for the DCT project, and we'll be hopefully reporting on that in our next semi-annual report. With the influx of funding opportunities in the coming year from the Federal Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and California Comeback Plan or Budget Act of 2021, we're researching posted funding opportunities and examining our programs with the intent to pursue several new applications in the upcoming months. We'll be capturing that information in our next semi-annual report. Our grants unit will work to fill vacancies. We've even requested an additional position in the 21-22 budget to allow us to focus our research and our application efforts to expand our grant programs with the goal of relieving the burden on our city residents, trying to keep those fees down. So the more grant money we can get, the better that turns out for our residents. So that concludes my summary of the LA San semi-annual grants reports. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Prophet. Any questions, folks?
None from me. Thank you for the report.
All right, let's move to, thank you, Ms. Prophet. You have a great weekend, okay?
Happy holidays.
Thank you. You too. Yeah, have a great holiday. I recall you having Christmas lights behind you, one as your backdrop, one down. All right.
I did last year. Yeah, I did. Yeah, we've got them up this year too. We've even added more.
Time is what it is. My goodness. Okay. Ms. Lau.
Good afternoon.
Services.
Yes. Let me see. I have a very short presentation. I just want to see if I can. Oh, I don't think I could screen share. Dr. Campos, is it?
Not today, Shirley. Unfortunately,
Okay.
we were having some technical issues with Zoom. Our features were modified by ITA. So you're going to have to speak about it. All commissioners did receive your presentation this morning.
Thank you, Dr. Campos. Okay, I'll just briefly speak and go through just a summary of Streets LA's status of the grant program. The Bureau has been successful in recent years in securing various federal and state grants for mobility and transportation enhancement projects. So I have a summary on one of the slides, slide number 2, where we have a summary of the federal and state grant programs that funds Streets LA's projects. Notable is the Active Transportation Program, which includes Safe Routes to School projects, and that funding granted to the Bureau has been roughly $140 million, and we're actively working on those projects. The Bureau is following the bipartisan infrastructure law closely, and with added funds to some of these existing programs and also new programs anticipated, we look forward to pursuing some grants with focus on carbon reduction, climate change, equity, reconnecting communities, and also EV infrastructure. Federal Highways, one of the federal agencies administering a lot of these programs that you see, and the Surface Transportation Grants, they will be providing funding marks and distribution in January of 2022, and so we will be following that. On slide number 3, I have just a few programs that fund Streets LA, other projects from the county, such as Metro Call for projects with Proposition C funds. We also have some Measure W funds, and recently we were awarded Measure M, Metro Active Transport, Transit, and First Last Mile program funds. We also have a few projects that were funded by excess bond proceeds from the CRA LA. Let me go to the next slide, which is slide number 4. We have a total of 50 projects. They're in various phases of the project. We have 8 in pre-design. The bulk is in design with 23 projects in the design phase. We do have 6 that are currently seeking approvals from Caltrans, and we have 13 in construction. So the last 2 slides, I just wanted to highlight one of our larger grant projects the Bureau is working on right now, which is the Broadway Manchester Active Transportation Equity Project. As illustrated in the renderings in slides 5 and 6, the project will implement pedestrian and bicycle improvements to provide safer and more equitable active transportation, including new cycle tracks, median island modifications, sidewalks, curb ramps, and other safety improvements at intersections. So the project was awarded $28 million of active transportation program funds, kind of leveraged that, and we sought another federal fund, which is called Infrastructure for Rebuilding America. And we also had $11.7 million in Measure W funds. The project is currently 30% designed, and the Bureau held a community meeting last month. And so with that, that concludes my brief presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Lau. Any questions, folks?
Great job.
Yeah, great job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great job
Actually,
in getting
what
a lot
else,
of grants.
Commissioner Coloso, did you raise your hand for a question, or were you just saying you're good?
I just had a comment.
Yeah, please.
President Good. I don't have any questions on your presentation. Thank you, Shirley. I see you've brought your skills already from BOE over to Streets LA as evident in this PowerPoint. Everything, I love how you organize all your infrastructure projects for us to make it easy to understand and show us the different phases and where everything is. But I just wanted to also officially congratulate you for being the new
Yes.
AM at Streets LA. I didn't embarrass you the last time you were here when you were with BOE because I wasn't sure if it was public yet, but I just wanted to thank you for your incredible service to the Bureau of Engineering and welcome you. So excited for your new leadership role with Streets LA. So Keith picked a good one, and I'm just so excited for you. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Yes, congratulations.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I want to just give a small comment and invite also, Shirley. So first of all, congratulations. Very proud of you that you're in this position and very proud that that you're here with Street Services and officially inviting you to take over Kevin's spot in our grant task force that we convene every month from now on. And so there you are, publicly invited to our grant task force now.
Will do, absolutely. Thank you.
Congratulations, Shirley.
Thank you so much, President Good. Looking
All right.
forward to working at Streets LA.
Wonderful.
Looking forward to it. By the way, do we have your PowerPoint? Is that in our? Okay, great, thank you. All right, so I think there's an elegance to this segue to Mr. Minnie. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Who also deserves some congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Speak
much.
to the caliber of staff that the city has.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I really
Congratulations to
appreciate the
both.
So
Yes.
Kevin, with the haircut, although you've had it for a little while, from your COVID hair, welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much, commissioners, for the kind words. And yes, my wife had enough of it, and I think I did too. But yeah. So I'm still kind of getting used to this new role, but I'm here to present status of grants for the Bridge Improvement Program here in the Bureau of Engineering. And so in lieu of being able to present, I'll just kind of read off a few stats from the presentation, which you should have already. So the Bridge program is really funded through various state and federal local funds. The first slide that you should see is a breakdown of the main funds that are funding our bridges, along with local match rates. So of course, it's local match rates for certain kinds of grant funds, especially from the Federal Highway Administration. So slide 2 and 3 are essentially the products we have in design and right-of-way phases right now. So we currently have 8 projects in various phases of right-of-way and design. Notably, the Glendale Hyperion Complex of Bridges is a very large one that is close to being ready to go for advertisement in about the next year or so. Very large project with a lot of complexity and a lot of work that has to be done to improve the crossing over there over the LA River and the freeway. And then I'll talk a little bit more about the 710 projects in just a bit. In construction right now, we have 2 projects, the Soto Bridge over Valley Boulevard and the Railway. That one's roughly 80% done, or 70 to 80% done, and it's hopefully going to be completed next summer. And very close to being done is the Taylor Yard Bridge, which is a joint project with the Architectural Division here in the Bureau of Engineering, a larger sort of scope of work for that area. And that should be done hopefully next month. So when the ribbon's ready to be cut, well, I'm sure you'll be invited to that. To date, we've finished 2 projects this fiscal year. One is the San Fernando Bike Bridge over Temple Wash. That's a project that was part of a larger bike path project along the San Fernando Road Bikeway, which the Bureau of Street Services coincidentally was running. But the bridge itself is complete and it's ready to be utilized as soon as the rest of the bike path is ready to be opened up. And then we've also finished the North Spring Street Phase 2 project, which is open to the public now. And so just to highlight 3 projects, the 710 mobility projects were funded, as as a result of an alternative instead of the freeway itself. And so if you want more information, you can go to 710mobilityla.org. It has a lot of information about the 3 projects. We've initiated community engagement for all 3 projects. We're hoping to have scope of work completed sometime in the spring to summer of next year, which will get into our environmental phase and right-of-way phases. All the community meetings are recorded, so if you want to go to the website, you can go ahead and listen to those if you need. And then, as I mentioned, the Soto Street Bridge is under construction now. It's adjacent to a large complex that USC owns. That they're eager to have it done so that they can start construction on their stuff. And then, lastly, the Taylor Yard Bridge is about to be opened up probably next month. And so, just to keep it brief, I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions, colleagues?
Comment. I just want to say congrats, Kevin, for your position. Glad you stayed on in Public Works and glad you crossed over the bridge to BOE. Just thought I would let that one in.
Now she can't stop. Now she
I couldn't be. It was just one.
Thank you. Thank you.
But no, seriously, though, congratulations on your position.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm excited.
I think that was your best one, Oda. President, anybody else got any questions or comments?
No, thank you for the report and congratulations on your new post.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, ditto, Kevin. Congratulations. All right. Mr. Quigley?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. President Good and Commissioners. James Quigley representing the Bureau of Street Lighting. So the Bureau of Street Lighting is working on several grant-funded programs and projects, including community development block grant projects, transportation grant-funded projects, SB1, and a NASA-funded project. For the CDBG program, we have several projects in design and construction to provide street lighting to disadvantaged communities without existing street lighting systems. We were awarded funding to connect underserved communities to the internet via Wi-Fi through street lighting infrastructure. We're currently working on an RFP for technologies and developing pilot areas. We're also have applied for additional CDBG funding at the request of various council offices for new street lighting projects in disadvantaged areas and communities. Now, our Transportation Grant-Funded Division is working on many TG-funded projects, mainly under the auspices of LADOT and BSS as the lead agencies. And we have a great number of projects in the planning, design, and construction phases. The NASA grant-funded project, which I mentioned before, is titled Predicting the Air We Breathe. And this project is headed by the Mayor's Office, and the grant is managed by the Bureau of Street Lighting. The grant funds air quality research and system development using machine learning and predictive data analytics, utilizing satellite and ground data. Now, this will provide the city with information about the effectiveness of our interventions with air quality and provide a platform for sharing data and successful city solutions with other cities. Bureau of Street Lighting specifically is partnering to install air quality sensors on our streetlights to provide data points citywide to be included with this project. So we were approved for funding through the DOT CARB grant in November 2021. Bureau was approved for $240,000 for 30 new electric vehicle chargers through the LADOT's CARB Sustainable Transportation Equity Project Grant in the City Council. So that's really quite a new one. And that is more just a broad overview of the various projects that, you know, we're funded for and that we're currently working on. And I'm happy to take any questions or further the discussion.
The comments, very innovative on the grants that you've all received. Thank you. Thank you for your report.
Yeah, they're very cool grants that you guys, y'all have secured there. Thank you, Commissioner Villegas. Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Mr. Quigley. You have a great weekend, okay?
Happy holidays, everybody.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Happy holidays, and thanks for being so patient today, okay? All right. Dr. Campos, I don't think BCA is here, right?
Mr. President, there is nothing to report from BCA. We do have one more presentation from BOE, Arson Baskerkian.
Sorry, Arson?
And then we anticipate by the next semi-annual report that the Board of Public Works offices themselves will also be part of this team. We've been working very closely with Commissioner Garcia and her vision on grants management, and so that's going to be in the next semi-annual report. We have a new employee, Gabrielle Del Barrio, that joined us a couple of weeks ago. So next go around, she will join this team as well, but Arson is the last person for today's presentation.
Arson, forgive.
No problem. No problem. Good afternoon. I know it's been a long day, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arson Baskerkian. I am now with the Street Improvement Division of the Bureau of Engineering, formerly with the Sidewalk Division. So with all the transitions, I'm also part of that transition team happening right now. But I'll be presenting on the status of grant-funded projects within the Street Improvement Program of the Bureau of Engineering. And so we have currently approximately 125 projects on our master schedule. Most of those are grant-funded projects, but I'll focus on one in particular. I believe you do have a presentation from our program as well. The first slide of that presentation is probably similar to what you've seen in the past from us, as well as probably through the other presentations today. It lists the types of grants that are utilized for street projects. And then the third slide of our presentation goes into more detail of the summary of grants that are currently used on our projects. And so currently we have about 125 projects. 61 of those are non-grant funded projects, but the rest of them are grant funded. And so we have approximately $446 million of grant money in our projects, out of which about $338 million goes to construction. And so quite a few projects. And the fourth slide represents the projects that are within the current phases of project delivery. And the majority of our projects are currently in design, although we do have projects spread out throughout all of the project delivery phases. And I'll focus on one project in particular for today that is funded by the Community Redevelopment Agency Fund, CRA Fund, and that is the Sherman Way Streetscape Improvement Project. This project is currently completed construction, and it's in post-construction pending acceptance by your board. And so this was completed, or the construction of this project was completed in May of 2021. The project limits go from Wilbur to Lindley on Sherman Way, including some of these side streets. The project revitalized the Sherman Way corridor in Council District 3 by making it more inviting to pedestrians and bicyclists, enhancing the multimodal user experience. Project elements included pedestrian and traffic facilities, curb ramps, street trees, street furniture, intersection upgrades, continental crosswalks, traffic roundabouts, medians, striping, and the new pedestrian hybrid beacon at Sherman Way and Capps Avenue. On our presentation slide 5, you'll see a monument sign that's been installed at Krebs Avenue and Sherman Way. And so this represents the beginning of the limit, or one of the limits of the project. And then on the next slide, slide 6, you'll see a before photo of one of the locations at Etiwanda Avenue and Sherman Way. This is a bus stop here, and you'll see a before photo of that, and then a conceptual design in the middle, and then an after photo of post-construction. And so you'll see it's kind of nice to see the before and then see the rendering of what was conceptualized, and then see it actually after construction look very similar to the concept rendering. So wanted to share that. And then the next slide 7 is at Hart Street and Baird Avenue. this is where one of the roundabouts were constructed. And so you'll see the before after on the before photo on the left side of the slide and a after photo on the right side with the roundabout constructed there. So you'll see it's a significant difference at that intersection there. And so that concludes my presentation, and I'll be happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Arson, and good to see you. Any questions, colleagues? All right. Thank you, Arson. You have a great weekend, okay?
Thank you. Thank you, likewise.
All right, Dr. Campos, have we cleared the decks?
Yes, you have.
Hard to imagine by 2:06 in the PM. This is early for us these days. All right, so thank y'all. With that, I got no more puns in me. Hopefully, Outer will keep them coming. And all of y'all have a great weekend. And this meeting is officially adjourned.
Thank you. Everybody have a great week. Happy holidays.
Thanks, everybody.